Okay. All right. Started stream here. Hopefully that worked. Going to share the link a few places. Then we talk about the big news of the day. MultiVersus shutting down here. Announcing it's ending with Season 5. But let me just share the link a few places, and then we can get talking about it. Yes, hold on one moment while I share that link, and then I'll check out chat. And basically, I'm just gonna, we'll just talk. Like, I don't know what else to do with this stream. I don't have a ton of big, like, crazy reveals or whatever. People are asking me, like, oh, why don't you just say everything you know? I honestly, there's not much that hasn't been data mined or whatever that you know, I know, but maybe a couple things. But we can talk and check and ask me questions, and I'll just, you know, tell you what I can. Like I said before, I don't want to be a leaker, and I don't want to talk about stuff I've heard anymore. But the game is over here, so I don't consider just saying what I've heard leaking at this point. And like I said, I really don't have anything. I think that isn't known to the public. That not much. But I can tell you, whatever. We can just talk about it, and talk about the unfortunateness of just this game shutting down. And I'm really sad to see it go. Really sad to see it not live up to its potential. It had a ton of potential. So yeah, let me just share the link, and then we can discuss all that. All right, shared the link. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. A lot of people popping in chat. Yep. So yeah, it's a real bummer. It's a real bummer this game didn't live up to its potential. I loved the idea of MultiVersus. There's some things I loved about the game itself. There's definitely some things that they dropped the ball on. Some things potentially the fault of Player First Games and everybody running it. Some things the fault of Warner Brothers. And yeah. It's a bummer. It stinks. Yeah. Someone said Smash Killer, ? Yeah, it doesn't look like MultiVersus killed Smash. In fact, with MultiVersus ending in Season 5, this makes me even more eager to hopefully get some news on whenever we're getting the next Smash game, which I haven't really talked too much about the next Smash game, but I do think, I know Sakurai said on his YouTube channel that he had some game proposal in 2022, but it's a secret for now, and blah, blah, blah. I think Smash is in the works. I definitely think Smash is in the works, probably has been in the works for a while. When we'll see it, I don't know. Obviously, Switch 2... they got to announce the games and stuff for Switch 2. We're getting, is it in April? So I don't even know if Smash will be there. I almost think it won't. Maybe later this year, maybe next year. I could see, potentially being like, hey, Smash is back. But yeah. But anyway, it makes me even more eager to get Smash back. It's a freaking David Zaslav. Yeah. That stinks. Why do I think? So I'm just gonna take questions from people, because I don't know what else to talk about here. Like I said, I don't have a ton of like super secret insider info or whatever, and like I said, I don't really want to be a leaker anymore anyway. But there's really just, the game's dead, so it's not really leaks. But there's not really that much that I know about that isn't either already data mined or been talked about or anything. So don't expect me to be like, here's 10 characters they're working on. I don't know. And the way Player First Games always seem to do stuff was like, they just talk about a ton of characters or semi-work on a bunch of characters. Like, we might do this character, we could do that, that'd be cool. Actual characters that are like getting ready to put out, though, is a much smaller pool, and I don't think I know any of them that I know for sure was like, oh, that character's coming, which may have something to do with why it's shutting down. Keeping up with the releasing characters at that pace might just not be feasible for a platform fighter. Anyway, someone said, why do you think Lola was prioritized over Wicked Witch and Daffy for the last lineup? I said this before when I was talking about my big stream, like I think it was probably like 2 or 3 years ago at this point, where I was just like, I was gonna when MultiVersus first shut down or went on hiatus, I did a big stream. I said a bunch of stuff, and one of the things I said that they were kind of prioritizing or thinking about doing, or kind of already doing at that point, even, for lack of a better word, and like, you know, I don't know how else to say it, is like waifu characters. Like, the game lives and dies off of you know, how much money people are spending on like skins for characters and stuff. So let's all be honest, there are people out there, a large number of people, who get pretty obsessed with certain female characters, and they're the type of people generally who will buy any game that character's in, pay for skins and stuff for the character. They're the whales that you're looking for a lot of times are those type of people. So I think that was part of the reason why, like, initially we got, let's say, Harley Quinn in the game before the Joker. We just got Raven and Marceline. Now, I think Raven and Marceline are great character choices. Like, I'm not knocking these characters or saying they're only just, you know, bait for, you know, lonely guys out there who are obsessed with these characters. But I think there was like a thought, or I know there was a thought, they talked about it, of like, you know, kind of trying to reach that market to some extent. So Lola Bunny, furries exist, let's be honest. It might have been because of that. I don't know. I will say this about Lola. I saw her design. It's Space Jam. It's not what's that other the Looney Tunes show or whatever. It's not the redesigned Lola. It might be redesigned Space Jam. I'm not sure if it's original or redesigned Space Jam, but it's Space Jam Lola. So I can say that. Yeah, someone said they were planning Poison Ivy before Lex Luthor. Yeah, exactly. Like, think DC characters. Is Poison Ivy high on the list of DC characters? I mean, she's pretty cool. She could have a cool moveset and stuff like that, but they prioritized her. We got Velma instead of Scooby-Doo. We got Poison Ivy instead of the Joker, stuff like that. So it was a thought to do that, which I don't even think is like the worst like sin of MultiVersus. I don't think going after, because those characters, regardless of how we feel about their fan bases being these like creepy guys or something, if that's how we want to look at it, they do have big fan bases. They're characters with big fan bases. So I don't even think it's that wrong to do that. And like I said, like Raven and Marceline are great character choices. Honestly, the only problem with like Raven Marceline that we just got is that like we got Banana Guard and we already had Finn and Jake, so we had 4 Adventure Time characters when like there's a lot of other stuff you can pull from Warner Brothers than Adventure Time. And I love Marceline. I love Adventure Time. I'm a huge Adventure Time fan. But yeah, so that's where a lot of stuff is happening. Will I miss Rain Dog? Not particularly. I never really cared for it. I'm like when people talk about Smash, sometimes people are like, "Oh, I really want like Taboo in the game. That'd be such a cool playable character." I'm like, I don't really like that stuff. I never have cared for original characters in crossover games. I always feel like it's a crossover game. I'm all about, you know, who's here interacting with each other is so cool. And I mean, like, having one is acceptable, I guess. I'm not like, Rain Dog's okay. If we did get like Taboo and Smash, it would be like, oh, okay, but I wouldn't be all that excited. I'd just kind of be like, neat. Yeah, we have Banana Guard instead of Dexter, Johnny Bravo. Just if you think of, I mean, I hate to say, you know, the spots or whatever, the slots, everybody always, it's so weird. There's always this thing of like, the character didn't take a spot away from another character. Only in the scenario where the game goes on forever like MultiVersus was going to does that happen. Otherwise, yes, there are spots. There are only so many characters that can be worked on. There's only so many characters that we're going to get at the end. So, yes, a character getting in the game does, in fact, take a spot away from another character. That's just logic. I'm sorry. It does. So yeah, if they make... And yes, like Banana Guard and Nubia and I don't know who else was like a lesser, particularly asked for character. They were probably easier to make. I think there were reasons they got made. I also think MultiVersus, I mean, the MultiVersus had some problems right from the get-go. They wanted to do a 2v2 thing, which meant every series that got in the game, they were going to do 2 characters. So we got like Finn and Jake, Scooby and Velma, you know, like they did that for a bunch right at the start, and then it kind of moved away from 2v2. Even at the start, it seemed like Arya doesn't have another Game of Thrones partner. I think they realized like making characters is hard, and if you have to make 2 every time, for every new series that they have a partner. It's just tough. It's just tough to do. It's way harder. So I think if they had done one character from a lot of series initially, we could have had a lot more. Like, that's just one of the original, landmines they hit over. They were. It's a new studio. They were testing out the waters. They were, it stinks. It didn't work out, but yeah, it was all new to them too. They were trying to do this, and obviously there were pitfalls along the way. Yeah, also we got 2 Gremlins characters. Yeah, but they never made a counterpart for Iron Giant. No Daffy or Scooby is insane to me. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of characters. Someone was talking about Fred Flintstone. Like, you have WB. Or, like, okay, Harry Potter is very controversial these days. Okay, it's controversial. J.K. Rowling's controversial. You got to separate art from artists. Some people don't want to do that. I don't blame them for not wanting to do that. But regardless, Harry Potter is extremely popular. Okay, Hogwarts Legacy, was that like the best-selling game last year or something? Like, it's an insanely huge IP. WB owns it. It was not in MultiVersus. I know Lord of the Rings had some issues, but like Gandalf was supposed to be. I just feel like if you were to take the number of characters we have in MultiVersus right now, and you just you hand me a piece of paper and you say, okay, you have a WB game. I don't know how many characters are in MultiVersus at the current moment, but like, let's say here's 30 spots, WB characters for a platform fighter. Write them down. It would look a lot different than MultiVersus roster. It's a cool roster. Like, I'm not knocking it. It has some cool stuff. But does it have every heavy hitter WB can give them? No. And like I talked about before, they had studios asking them. I think Sony said like, hey, if you guys want to use Spider-Man. Nickelodeon said, hey, if you want to use SpongeBob. Like, those are huge too. And I get it. The negotiations probably would have taken some time. Mortal Kombat character we never got. There's just a lot of cool stuff this game could have had. Again, massive potential. So it's a real shame to see it go. But were they always putting their best foot forward? Not really. But I think it just was. Out of the gate, they were just stumbling around trying to, work as they go with it. Like I said, the 2v2 and any 2 characters realizing, okay, we got to stop doing that, figure this out. They were just figuring everything out as they went. And yeah, I think if at this point they could go back and do this different, this different, this different, this different, you could have an amazing game of MultiVersus. But yeah. So instead, a damn shame we never got Chowder versus Godzilla. Yeah, Godzilla's another huge one. WB I think has access to. Yeah, it's a bummer. Oh, someone said the Cartoon Network character was Gumball. Yes. So I said this over on Twitter. I should definitely say it here. And I had that big list of characters and stuff, and I left one Cartoon Network character I'd heard about, Mysterious. And then I did say this, and I said this thing from the start, that it actually wasn't someone I had heard from my own sources and stuff. It was actually somebody else, somebody I trust, though, who had heard it from their source. And then the person that heard this has had very real MultiVersus information, but it was from their source. So it wasn't mine, it was theirs. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to say it. But now, like, whatever. Yeah, it was Gumball. So, but once again, with MultiVersus, it's so weird. When I was hearing stuff for MultiVersus, I had to filter big time. Like, okay, is this character actually being worked on to come out soon, or in some capacity where they're actually being worked on, or was MultiVersus like, is this character just like on the drawing board and there's like 50 characters on the drawing board? Because MultiVersus is literally, like, when we talk about Smash, a lot of times people are like, Sakurai chose from this giant list. I don't know if that's ever true. But regardless if it is or not, I think when Smash gets going, Sakurai has a very clear plan of like, we're working on this character, and then we're going to work on this character, and we're going to work on this character, and these are the ones that are definitely happening, and it's 100%, I think it's very set in stone. With MultiVersus, they were way more just, shooting from the hip. So Gumball might have been heard by someone else's source. It might be very true that it was something they were talking about, but there might be 50 other characters they were talking about. When I was talking, because, if you watch my other stream or any of the other stuff where I had to like filter, like, these characters are, I think, actually coming. These characters they've talked about. These are characters are like water cooler talk that have maybe been mentioned around the office. So I don't know where Gumball actually lands, if it was actually a character they were working on to get ready to come out at anytime soon, or if Gumball was just, hey, we should do Gumball at some point. Yeah. Or what's a Gumball moveset probably look like? Oh, something like this. That'd be cool. Were they modeling him? I don't know. I don't know what stage of development. So, yes. And what I'm talking about here is also one of the problems with MultiVersus. mismanagement and no planning and no scheduling, or poor planning, poor scheduling. At least in beta and initially, seemed like they were doing better this time around. Just staying on schedule with the seasons and the characters and stuff. But yeah, it was, from what I heard, it was very much so like, you know, they'd come in. I mean, like we know this. They recorded voice lines for Raven back during, like, before beta, right? Because we data mined that. And how long did it take to actually get the character Raven out there into the game? So picture this. You're like, we have this money that we need to spend on our game and budget and whatnot. So let's take it and pay for voice actors to do these characters. And obviously you get, like, Tara Strong in the studio doing Harley Quinn, then, you know, get Raven and stuff like that. I get it. But, like, you're still paying for that. And then it's sitting there, and when you get it done is whenever you get it done, and then it's sitting there, and then you're like, okay, we need to get this character in the game. So then you take some more money and you buy that. Like, if you're not, like, very careful about, like, making sure your money isn't getting spent on stuff that's just sitting on the table, not coming to the game anytime soon, that hurts, you know? So again, planning and management. Someone said, miss your general Nintendo content. Yeah, here, I'll just say this real quick, and maybe I'll talk about it a bit more at the end. I'm really sorry I haven't been, like, at all on YouTube in the last, like, couple months. I had to, financially, I had to get a job, like a better job, and I had a job back in September that was new, and then, like, a month into it, I got a call back from a job I had applied for, like, a year ago that I've been trying to get into, just to do, temp work for them, but I jumped at that. But it was holiday help temp work, so I was working 6 days a week, overtime stuff like crazy. And then now that holiday stuff is over, and they've hired me now full time, so I'm staying on there. So that's great, awesome. But, like, I just had a crazy last few months, job wise, financially wise, stuff like that. Stable now. Very good, you know, future and everything, looking good. But right now I just have to, now that I have, like, a weekly schedule, it's not 6 days a week anymore. I need to just kind of go, okay, how do I schedule YouTube back in? Like, maybe every Sunday night I'll start working on YouTube videos or something, or, you know, after work now that I just have a better schedule, a better idea of where I'm going with stuff. So I should be able to jump back into YouTube much more regularly now that my own life outside of YouTube has calmed down or stabilized. So, yeah. So it said, apparently Tony was very hard to work with, ? Yes, I heard that the entire time. And let me just preface this with, I've never met Tony. I've never talked to Tony. I don't know Tony. I don't want to badmouth him. I don't want to be a hit piece. I don't want to be saying, oh, blah, 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 or whatever. I have heard from multiple people that, yes, behind the scenes, Tony was difficult to work with. Not the best at managing the game. I heard he was very good at, like, programming stuff and certain things, but he'd get hyper focused on things. It was part of it, like I was talking about before, but I wasn't naming Tony over this, but I was talking about how, like, there's no schedule, there's no planning. Like, that's management. That's the kind of thing that, yeah, the guy in charge of the game is doing. I kept saying that, but I wasn't calling Tony out particularly. But yes, that is what I've heard from multiple people. I don't know for sure. Again, I've never met Tony. Seems like a cool guy to me. I don't know. Don't want to badmouth the guy, but yes, I've heard the management and the running of the game was rough the whole time. And other people who work there, whatever, if they want to come out and say something, by all means, you know, read that. I've seen multiple tweets today about it. But yes, I had heard that the whole time. That doesn't mean it's entirely Tony's fault. I think there are faults all around. I think even the community itself being so negative on the game a lot of the time doesn't help with the image of the game. And WB, of course, obviously. I don't know where I think the worst thing MultiVersus did, I think its literal shot it in the foot thing, is not being a game where you have the full roster of characters unlocked for everyone who plays the game. That is just a no-brainer. You sell people skins and the banners and all that other stuff. You cannot do a free-to-play game without giving people the ability to play the game. No, you need to get the foot in the door. It's a salesman technique. Okay, foot in the door technique. This is what it is. You're a door-to-door salesman, okay? So you're selling vacuum cleaners. It's like old 50s Looney Tunes cartoons. You've seen them. When the wife opens up the door and she's like, hello, who are you? You know, whatever. You stick your foot into the doorway so that they can't shut the door, and you try to go, hey, I'm selling vacuum cleaners. Let me come inside and show you. Because once you're inside the house, it's way more likely the person's going to buy the product because they go, Well, I invited him in the house, so I must have at some level wanted to buy this thing. So with MultiVersus, you need people to play the game, and once they're playing the game, they go, I might buy that skin. I guess I do like this game because I'm playing it. If you make it difficult for people to play your free to play game, you don't get foot in the door. You don't get people in the game. They go to MultiVersus and they see it and they see I can play as Shaggy and I got to unlock stuff and they shut it off. And then you didn't get foot in the door. You didn't get people in. So yeah. Someone asked, was I in sales? No, I was not. It's just something I heard. I mean, I'll say this about sales and marketing. Rick and Morty, Jerry is in marketing, okay? And Jerry's like supposed to be dumb. I think marketing is brain dead, easy, stupid stuff. I'm sorry if anybody's out there in marketing. It seems simple and stupid. Right? Like to sell people stuff is easy and stupid. So yeah. Yeah. All he had to do was copy Nintendo. Why did no one ever do it right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard for play. I mean, it's like, what do we have? PlayStation All-Star Brawl. Is that it, right? Or PlayStation All-Stars. The Nickelodeon All-Star Brawls. MultiVersus. And there's some that are semi successful, like Brawlhalla and stuff. But it does seem like every platform fighter like just can't seem to get the Smash formula right for whatever reason. And one of the things I find kind of strange is that they always change up the gameplay a lot. When I think it's like it'd probably be a lot easier if they just stuck to like the basic Smash formula. Like MultiVersus didn't have grabs, or it didn't have not grabs. Well, I don't think it had like command grabs, but I meant shields. Like, and that's such the rock paper scissors of Smash, right? Is like shield, grab, attack. So like to mix that up and be like, we're not gonna do that is like, all right. I mean, you're different now, but Oh, Rivals of Aether, yeah, that's another one. MultiVersus should have had a way to just outright buy the entire cast. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I would have just made it all, everything's, all the characters are free and just the skins and extra stuff. But if they had to sell the game, at least do, I mean, the way they did it was they had the Founders Pack initially. It just gave you a bunch of coins for future characters, which I think now, I mean, I don't really even want to talk about this, but I don't know if people are going to get refunded for any of this. I doubt it. I think I have more character tokens than we're going to have characters. And more fighter currency, but the character tokens I actually bought because I bought the Founders Pack. But part of that was me just supporting the game. I wanted the game to do good, so I don't feel like I lost out on money necessarily. Like it was partly a donation, Someone said they said no refunds. Yeah, I mean I assume so. Is there a reason why Wicked Witch of the West never got released? Not that I'm aware of. I mean, honestly, I feel like they should just release everything that they can. But I don't know if... I mean, they might literally be like, the funding is completely pulled. We can't work on any more characters. We can just release what we have done. And Wicked Witch might be like... it might have been sitting there the whole time, like, almost finished, and they just never went over and, did the last couple things to her to finish it. So... Yeah. I mean, with refunds, like, with this sort of thing, I don't think any game that's ever shut down has ever... done like a big... Actually, no, what was that game? Was it Concord that shut down like immediately almost? I think they might have refunded people. I could be wrong. I didn't buy it. But yeah, I mean, with games like this shut down, it's very rare that they ever refund. But still unfortunate that they can't just... Also, I think they said in the blog post, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but like you'll be able to use it'll be offline, you'll be able to use the content like that you've unlocked. It's like, guys, if the game's just shutting down, maybe just give everybody everything. It's like, here's the game offline. Enjoy. Bye. Yeah, Warner Brothers has crazy greed, for sure. I don't know. I mean, I have to assume that that's where all of that, having to buy every single character came from. But it's stupidity. Like, but again, that's also kind of on players' first game to some extent, too. Because you can have the Warner Brothers CEOs come down and say, oh, that's great. Why don't you sell each character for this much money? And you have to sit them down and explain to them, like that foot in the door technique thing that I just explained. Like, you have to explain to them, no, we need to get people playing the game. People will buy the skins and this stuff and all the cosmetic stuff, the extra stuff, and then show them successful games, successful free-to-play games, that's how you do it. The gameplay has to be there first. You have to get the people in the door playing the game. Yeah, so... Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna end on Aquaman and Lola. It sounds like that's what we're gonna end on. But like Wicked Witch of the West, there might be, I don't know who's almost done or whatever. Wicked Witch of the West would be my guess at least one other character that's almost done. Be great if they dropped, as many characters as they could right here at the end. But I don't know. Did you hear anything about Godzilla for relaunch? No, I mean, there was like, the only things I ever really heard about Godzilla and Ben 10 were like, that they'd love to do those characters, but they did Iron Giant, and making a huge character was difficult, so they were going to wait a while to do another one. And Ben 10 was another character people really want, but would be difficult to do, and they wanted to do them right, so, they were on the back burner characters. Like I said, there was tons of characters. I keep saying there was like probably 50 characters they were talking about maybe doing eventually. Ben 10 and Godzilla were certainly among those, but probably not anytime soon, or really, picked up and be like, all right, let's work on this. Let's get this done. Yeah. So they should have done what Marvel Rivals has done with their microtransactions. I don't know what Marvel Rivals has done with microtransactions, but I believe all the characters are free, right? It's just skins and stuff. Like, that's how you do these games. You have to let the people play the game. Yeah, Courage would have been great. I think there was like a Courage stage, like the middle of nowhere, right? Is a stage that I think was Datamined. Pretty sure. There were like a bunch of stages and stuff. We got the Over the Garden Wall stage. I think there was a Barbie stage. There's like a lot of cool ones too. We never. I don't know. Again, if they have those stages done, I think there was a Camp Crystal Lake stage. Trying to think of all of them. There was a lot. But yeah, hopefully, I wish they could drop as much as they could, but we will see. So it said, ding dong, the game is dead over Wicked Witch. Yeah, it's really weird that Wicked Witch is like in the comic book, but not in the game. Marvel Rivals is all characters free, and confirmation that all future characters will be free as well. Yeah, exactly. That's how you got to do it. And I'll say this, like any free-to-play game I've ever spent money on, I went into initially with the idea of never spending money on it. I go into it going, no, I'm not going to spend money on it. I play it, and I end up liking it, and then once I'm in there liking it, that's when the money comes out, because I'm playing the game all the time. So, yeah. So did they ever consider Freddy at one point? I'm trying to remember if I heard specifically Freddy or not. I'm leaning towards that they probably did, but I'm also leaning towards that it was probably one of those in the future things. Like I said, there's a lot of characters that are like that. Really, the only characters I knew that were coming soon were Aquaman, Lola, and Wicked Witch were the ones that I was aware of. They're coming pretty soon. And again, that might be part of the shutdown. I don't know for sure, but it might be very hard. Like, they tried it in beta, and I know they ran out of characters in beta. They got to Marvin. Marvin was their, like, they were going to hold on to Marvin for when they ran out of characters. And because I think they had to get Black Adam out so fast, they didn't get to work on the characters like that they wanted to work on, like Beetlejuice and Wicked Witch for Halloween. They got behind and everything. Then I think Tony was wanting to switch over to, like, Marceline or Harry Potter character. I think WB wanted, like Hermione was the next one they were demanding. So they threw Marvin out in November. Then they were like, it was like 2 months. We're into like January of whatever year it was, without a new character. And they were, should we do Echoes with Pickle Rick? I don't know what's going to happen with Pickle Rick, if that's almost done or what, or was ever going to come back. And, they got bogged down. They couldn't get a character out. So then they shut the game down. Relaunch, and the relaunch has been great character-wise. Like, I think it's been a pretty steady pace. We've gotten like 2 every season at least, which is pretty darn good in my opinion. I don't know any other fighting game that moves at that pace and plan to move at that pace indefinitely, or at least a character every season would. It's pretty good. They may just not, like, that might be part of it too. Is like, we can't keep this pace. I don't know if that's part of it. I assume it's WB coming down saying, hey, the game's not doing well enough. We're shutting it down. WB tends to shut down their games lately, and a lot of their games don't do so good for various reasons. I don't know if they maybe have, like, we have Aquaman, we have Wicked Witch, and we've been working on Lola, and that might just be all they have, in the back pocket. Aquaman, I know, was WB requested back, I think, for like Aquaman 2, but the game wasn't back in time for it, so Aquaman's kind of been sitting there for a while. Someone asked Pennywise, question mark. Not that I'm aware of. I know there was like a stream where there was like a Pennywise plush or figure on somebody's couch. I don't know. It might have just been coincidental. I have a bunch of stuff behind me. People in my Discord asked me to put a thing of milk behind me. I don't know. I think they have some inside joke or something right now. I don't know. But I grabbed a thing of milk out of my refrigerator. It's there behind my cool new Geno plush, which is sweet. Someone said I never got chowder. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you just think about what characters we could have gotten, it's really sad to see this game go. It could have been really, really awesome. Yeah, so very, very unfortunate. So we have no more Gleamium? Can we still buy skins anymore? I have no idea. I don't know how Season 5 is going to work at all. I don't know if there's going to be a Battle Pass still. I don't know. Like I'm saying, I bought the Founders Pack. I still have fighter tokens I'm going to have left over after getting the whole roster from that Founders Pack. And I have fighter currency. I have no idea. No idea. Yeah, extremely wasted. Was Walter White considered at all? They definitely talked about Walter White, but I think I said this before, and I think I've said this every time Walter White's come up. As far as I'm aware, it was he's so associated with, and he's a meth dealer. That's what he is. He's a meth dealer, or meth cooker anyway. Distribution's Jesse's job. Anyway, but he's so associated with drugs. It's really they were very hesitant to want to put him in the game, because you do that, and then it's like you go to these Cartoon Network IPs or whatever, and they might be hesitant to be like, we don't really want to be in a game with Breaking Bad. Which, like, I know we have like Jason and stuff like that, but let's be honest, there's a hierarchy of things that are acceptable to parents and can get you in trouble and blah blah blah. At least from the American perspective, it's different other places, but in America, violence is fine. Drugs are more iffy, and like sex and nudity is like a big no-no. So we're moving down. It's rougher territory when you get into drugs. Parents don't mind if somebody gets a machine gun, riddles bullets into someone and blood's everywhere. A lot of parents are like, oh, that's fine. They can watch that. It's action. But a character pulls out a cigarette even and smokes it. It's like, what? You're making kids get into smoking. Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the thing with Walter White. That's what I heard they were discussing. So yes, I know it's like you can make the argument Breaking Bad was only rated this. It was on television. It's not as bad as some of the Jason movies and blah blah. But I do get I think it's more about avoiding like the bad headlines and the people who might collaborate with your game or not. Based on just drugs being associated with your game. It's different. Rick and Morty do drugs and Rick and Morty, but you see Rick and Morty, and I don't think that it doesn't immediately make people go, whoa, that's now associated with the game. Whereas Walter White definitely would have made headlines, and it would have been like, meth dealer Walter White in MultiVersus, and parents are like, isn't that the game Little Billy plays? Oh, let him play it. There's drugs. Like that's what you get. Someone said the entire game is a bad headline. Yeah, I think other than when it first came out in beta, and it was like Evo, and it was like a gazillion views, and it hit like a million something. It wasn't even more than, I don't know how many players. It was like a ton of players on Steam, like right away. I think other than its initial thing, and winning fighting game of the year, whatever year it was, 2021 or 22 maybe. Whatever year that was. I don't think every headline or everything that's happened with MultiVersus has just been like a pitfall, just like something bad. It's like the next bad thing. I said it before. I was like, is WB cursed? Like, is Warner Brothers cursed? Because there's so many things that seem to go bad for Warner Brothers. Like everything I hear about from Warner Brothers almost always seems bad. Someone asked about Mad Max. Besides that original like Reddit leak thing, I think it might have been like water cooler talk about Mad Max, but I never heard like, anything substantial. I guess that's really the difference I'm talking about, is like what characters were like substantially actually, coming to the game, and which ones were just mentioned. I do think Mordecai was worked on to some extent, but whether or not, he was coming anytime soon, I don't know. Yeah. wasn't Static Shock Datamined? Yeah, Static Shock had, I don't even remember what it was in the game, either voice files or characters mentioning Static Shock in voice files, something like that. But that's again part of the issue here. There were so many like just mismanagement and things that were like semi-planned, and you can't run a game like this like that. You can't just be like, maybe we'll do these like 5 characters, and you have these 5 characters, and like people are recording voice lines like, oh, say this about Static Shock in case we put them in the game, and then you don't go and immediately work on Static Shock. Like if you don't have the plan to get this stuff done, then you're wasting time and money on things that aren't going to happen. And that seemed to be happening a lot behind the scenes, the lack of scheduling, lack of planning. I don't know if that's the case for when it returned. When it returned, it seemed to be pretty on schedule, at least up until this point. Every season has characters. You know, I don't see it being as off schedule. But definitely the early days, like I think they launched it way too early. They should have waited until probably the relaunch, but had it behind the scenes the whole time to actually launch the game. And we may be looking at, I mean, there's so many things they did wrong, or so many pitfalls that happened, whether they did it wrong or had bad luck or whatever. Yeah. Someone said, when did I say it was Gumball? Yeah, that was the mystery Cartoon Network character was Gumball. But again, I didn't actually hear it. It was from someone I know who has their own sources, though that person I trust. And see, usually, I don't think they ever had wrong MultiVersus information that they told me. I don't know if the source told them Gumball was the same source they always get info from or whatever. But yes, the mysterious Cartoon Network character was Gumball. Again, I really don't want, like I've said this before, I don't want to be like a leaker guy anymore. I'm totally like, I never wanted that to be, I wanted to be a YouTube guy who speculates stuff. I didn't want to be a leaker guy. But the game's dead, so like, you know, these aren't really leaks. These are just information about, you know, the sad history of MultiVersus. But yeah, it was Gumball. But again, also, like I keep saying, there's this weird thing with MultiVersus and how Player First Games did characters, where some characters were like, you know, actually being worked on to get released, and a lot of other characters were talked about, discussed in the planning stages. I don't know what stage of development Gumball, whoever heard that, you know, saw them in or heard about them in or what. So every time I was talking about MultiVersus stuff, I was trying to filter characters and tell you guys, like, these are the ones I think are coming soon. These are the ones I've heard the name. Like, I've always done that with MultiVersus because of the weird way that they ran things behind the scenes. It's not like Smash, where I feel like Sakurai, you know, it's only, I think, the early planning stages where there's different names being thrown around, and then he locks into something, and they're locked in, you know? There's MultiVersus. And that can have something to do with also MultiVersus being a free-to-play, you know, I mean, it's over now, but the idea was it's a forever game. It's going to go on for years and years and years. Then you kind of have to just have a bunch of characters in the background always that you're like, yeah, what would that be like? What would that be like? So hearing a character name didn't necessarily mean the character was happening anytime soon or ever. But yes, it was Gumball. I just realized I forgot to add Gwimbly. I wish. I really wish. Yeah, forever game. Exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Was Ruby Rose deep in development, or was she cut early? As far I never heard about Ruby Rose being cut. When I heard about Ruby, it was after. I don't follow Ruby, so I don't know the exact time frame or exactly what they left WB or the buyout. I don't know what it was. I don't know it super well. But it was after I did know it happened. Whatever that was, I knew it happened. It was after that I heard about it. And the first thing I said when I heard about it back to the person who told me was, you know, oh really? That's going to be like controversial because, you know, they're not part of WB anymore or whatever happened. And yeah, so it was after that. So I don't think, you know, she got cut because of that or anything, because it was afterwards that I heard about it. So at this point, I mean, she's scrapped along with every, you know, again, like 50 whatever other characters they were thinking about doing. I assume unless she was far in development and they drop everyone that they can here the last season. But I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I feel like we're gonna get Aquaman and Lola, and that's it. Maybe Wicked Witch. Yeah. Were there any discussions about guest characters outside of Warner Brothers IPs? Yeah, there were. I've talked about this before. They had been contacted by Sony about using Spider-Man. They had been contacted by Nickelodeon about using SpongeBob. I think there were maybe some other ones. Those are the big two that come to mind for me. It's been a few years of MultiVersus stuff, and I'm a little fuzzy. But you can watch my older stuff if you want to see me talk about that stuff. I don't know if there were any like actual negotiations in the works. I know they wanted to get Master Chief for a while. That was another thing. They're like, let's beat Smash at its own game and get a character that Smash hasn't done yet first, which I'm kind of glad didn't happen, because now if Smash gets Master Chief, or Halo in the game in any form, it'll be like, oh, it'll be a big deal. It'll be a little watered down if MultiVersus had done it first. But I know they wanted to do that, but I don't know if they ever actually did any negotiations. I don't know if it ever got off of the just discussion side of things. And because of that, I don't think it ever was like that. I don't think there's any character outside of WB that they're like literally working on. Yeah. So all of the Smash killers are dying in preparation for Smash's grand return. Yes, I'm honestly, I'm dying over here to get Smash back. Like, I really want to get Smash back. Super excited Switch 2 is coming out soon. Well, not coming out soon, but super excited Switch 2 it's been shown off. Excuse me 1 second. We're getting whatever that Switch 2 Direct in, I think it's April. And we'll see Switch 2 games, and yeah, once Switch 2 is out, that's when I feel like it's safe to start speculating Smash. Now, will we get Smash immediately out of the gate? I kind of doubt it. Possible, but I kind of doubt it. I do think Smash is being worked on. That's just my speculation, by the way. Like I said, no longer leaker stuff. Not if I hear something, I'm keeping it to myself. I'm only talking MultiVersus stuff because the game's dead. But just based on what we've heard, Sakurai got some proposal he talked about in his YouTube channel in 2022. Smash had like those Spirit events, so that means Smash Ultimate had Spirit events. That means somebody's back in the office doing something with Smash, right? Just seems very likely to me that Smash is in fact being worked on, and I think we'll probably see it for Switch 2. But when we do, I don't know. It could be immediately. It could be at the end of the year. It could be next year. It could be several years from now. I don't know. I'm kind of hopeful it's probably... if I had a ballpark, if this is a total shot in the dark, I'd say maybe end of this year is a big surprise, but probably more like, I don't know, June Direct next year would be when I'd start being like, I wonder if we'll get like, Smash shown off here. But I do think it's coming eventually. So be cool. Be honest, am I relieved the game is done, or am I upset by its cancellation? A little of column A, a little of column B. Like, I'm bummed because of the potential it could have had. To be honest, though, have I been playing MultiVersus much? Not really. I think I unlocked Raven and Marceline, played them once, and that was it. I haven't been playing Season 5. I barely played... I just can't get into it. Like, playing every day, it just wasn't that much fun. I'll just be honest, it just wasn't that much fun. I have had very good times with MultiVersus before, though, so I can't, like I'm not saying, like, the game isn't fun at all. It's just, like, I don't know, just the way it was set up with everything, not that great. I would have loved to have friends over and play couch co-op like I do with Smash. I would have loved, I don't know, I just would have loved a lot of things to be a little different about it. I just haven't been that into it. That doesn't mean I'm relieved it got canceled, though, but there is a little part of me that's like, I don't know, it's pitfall after pitfall after pitfall, and it's just like, it's such a bad reputation whenever I bring it up. It just gets laughed at. There is like this, there was this sadness to the game like the whole time, just of how bad it was doing. But I will say there are other games who have had that, and they turned around. No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 2077. I play almost not necessarily daily all the time, but there are times when I play it daily for like a month or two. Fallout 76. That game came out, it was garbage. It was awful. I'm a huge Fallout fan though, so I played it anyway. It's a pretty good game now. Like, I think it's actually a pretty good game. I don't know how many people have jumped back into it or whatever, but it's a solid online, fun to play experience now. But it was absolute garbage when it first came out. I hoped MultiVersus would last a year or two and maybe be able to turn itself around and turn into, yeah, it's just as it's just as good as Smash, but it's Warner Brothers characters, and I'm excited to see who shows up next. I'm excited to see where the game goes in the future. I'm watching Evo. I'm watching MultiVersus Evo. It's gonna be cool. But just never had everything connect. So I wonder if modders will add any of the MultiVersus characters into Smash. Yeah, possible. Was it Smash 6 Holiday 2026? Not a bad guess. Yeah, that's kind of the ballpark that I'm guessing at too. I mean, it's completely possible the April Direct surprises us with Smash and it's this year, this holiday or something, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be Mario Kart. We already have Metroid Prime 4. Maybe there's another surprise game or probably a few games for Nintendo. Maybe another surprise large title for Switch 2. Maybe a 3D Mario or something. I don't know. Again, just speculating. So I assume Nintendo likes to stagger their games anyway, and Smash is, especially if you're going to somehow top Smash Ultimate, it's going to have to sit in the oven for a while to get to, a Smash game that's really going to be hype and blow Ultimate out of the water. Already, we're going from, if that proposed game that Sakurai's talking about that happened in 2022 is Smash, and I think it is, then it's had a while. It's had 3 years now, or going on 3 years pretty soon. It's 4 or 5 years making it, and they already have Smash Ultimate. I don't know matters how much they build off of that. They built Ultimate off of Smash 4. I doubt they'd want to throw away everything they did with Smash Ultimate. I imagine it would be built off of. I imagine they probably future-proof to some extent certain things they could make the next one. I doubt it would be completely from scratch. So, It's very likely it had time to be worked on. So maybe just release Smash Ultimate and add new characters. Yeah. I mean that's personally what I would like to see happen. Like I see no reason to start over. To be honest, you could tweak some things and fix some things up, but hey, that's me. Let's talk MultiVersus though, because this is potentially the last hurrah. So any plans for Mortal Kombat representation? Well, Ed Boon was in the studio. We saw a shot of that, right? I think Ed Boon's son, if I'm correct, posted something maybe on Instagram. I'm kind of thinking back. That said something bad about like Tony, like that Tony runs the game badly, which again is one of the people. I've seen a few other ones come out today say it, and I've heard it myself. Mismanaged and blah, blah, blah. He said something about that Tony didn't run the game or whatever. So I feel like to some extent there was always Mortal Kombat. I know that there was some Mortal Kombat discussions early on, and the Mortal Kombat people wanted too much control, I think, over the character if they were to get in. But then after the game relaunch, we saw, I want to say it was Ed Boon. It was Tobias' son. Okay, John Tobias' son. Okay. Tobias was in the office, not Ed Boon. Okay, sorry, my bad. So John Tobias' son posted something on Instagram that was like, said something about Tony, and people kind of came at him like, hey, what are you talking about, blah, 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 blah. But now it's kind of coming out, and again, when I saw that tweet, I kind of, like, my head was kind of like, oh, wow, there's another one. So I don't know if they saw how the game was run and they pulled out and were like, no, thank you. I know early on there were some talks about Mortal Kombat, but again, the Mortal Kombat people apparently wanted too much control. But hey, that might be. I don't want to badmouth Tony. I don't know Tony. I've never met him. It's just secondhand stuff I've heard from a few people who work there that see, and then they posted it. I think I saw a few posts on Twitter today saying it's the same thing. So publicly stuff. I'm not saying this out of nowhere. That Tony didn't manage the game that well, and I've kind of been saying that for a while too. Not saying Tony specifically, but just that the game needed a schedule, needed better planning. That all comes from the top down. Yeah. How far did Daffy get in development? I'm not entirely sure. I know we saw. Did they hire someone who did like a Daffy animation or something? I remember seeing that at some point. I have no idea how far along they were with Daffy. I mean, clearly we're getting Lola. Though, again, Lola might have been chosen because maybe they're taking a lot of LeBron's moveset. I don't know Lola's moveset. Nubia, I don't know if they built off of Wonder Woman and stuff. It just might be easier to do that. Can I show the tweets about Tony? Yeah, let me see if I can find them. Hold on a second. It'll take me a second to find them. Someone's asking me about people. This looks like one. All right, boom. Yeah, this got posted somewhere. I mean, I can't speak for these people. Like, again, this isn't a hit piece. I'm not coming at Tony at all. I don't know the guy. But yeah, it says, let me move it over for you guys. Industry vets and scuttlebutts are probably going to unzip their lips publicly about Tony now, and I need you guys to listen because this dude is effing insane, and we'll probably never see direct work in the industry again. Obviously, again, John Tobias' son posted something similar. I had heard Tony's hard to work with, doesn't manage the game well. I'd heard that. Yeah, here's another one. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to read these. They're bad, but there you go. Bald-headed Biatch. Chance was right to call him a clown. I don't care. I'm cashing out. There's a ton of cool, hardworking people that play for his games, but unfortunately, their boss is a man-child. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I've seen that stuff. There's probably some more. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Yeah, so there's people in chat reacting to that. So said, wait, Tony hard to work with? Yeah, I had been hearing that kind of the whole time, that it was the game, you know, had issues with management and planning out what they were doing next, and that came from Tony, that Tony I guess he was a good programmer and good at certain things, but he gets hyper-focused on certain things. Other things would get tossed to the side. And he was kind of trying to do the whole game like just shoot from the hip, like, oh, we'll just do it as we go. But it's like you can't have a whole team of people. You can't come into work one day and just be like, should I work on Wicked Witch or are we not doing Wicked Witch? Like, should we get Black Adam done? What are we doing? You know, should I make a moveset for this character? What characters are we doing this year? And it's like, I don't know. Go work on this character. Are we actually doing them? Like, you know, that's tough. Should I call up some voice actors and get them in the studio or not? Like, you know, that's tough. And I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's how it went. I'm just describing based on what I imagine mismanagement in the way that I've heard that the game didn't have good planning and everything like that. You know, it's tough. But then also, of course, WB, I'm sure, was behind the very predatory, you know, payment practices with MultiVersus, how much it costs and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Bald-headed bitch. Is it a clue towards Jesse Pinkman? Walter White clue. Either die here or live long enough to become Tony. Yeah, I mean, blah. So did I say goodbye to my insider? No, I don't want to talk about sources in any way. But no, I don't think I've ever, like, you know, people just talk to me. That's all it's ever been. People just talk to me. Did Lola come out of nowhere? She was never leaked before. Yeah, I heard about Lola fairly recently before Assault, whatever, the person whose name changes all the time over on Twitter, that does all the data mines. Before they started, I heard about Lola within a month or so, probably before they post something on Twitter with the bunny emojis. So... Asil, yeah, whatever I don't even remember what their original name was. Was it Asil? I don't even know how to say it. And I talk to them, like, pretty regularly, too. Like, I like them. But, excuse me. But yeah, when they started talking about Lola Bunny on Twitter, I had only known about it for not too long, which was also again part of why I think did the character start to dry up because I knew about Aquaman. I thought Aquaman, Wicked Witch, and then I heard no, they're gonna do Lola Bunny, and then Soul started putting out Lola Bunny stuff or the Lola Bunny hint, and then now, so yeah. How many seasons were they planning for? I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I know the beta at least was very like shooting from their hip, do it as they go. And they eventually ran out of characters and stuff to do because they just did that. I don't know if they jumped back in with like we got the next 5 seasons scheduled or whatever, and then now it's now, and they ran out of stuff again. I don't know. But I hadn't really heard anything concrete past this, and like I said, Lola was pretty recent that I even heard about. So, yeah, or at least pretty recent I heard about Lola as she's going to be in the next season. Like I said, I hear about a lot of characters. I think all of them are just like sad or out there or whatever in the pool of characters you know of for when you look at leaked MultiVersus characters, and there's like 20. But you never know when they're going to happen. Yeah, she was the only one that really came out of nowhere here at the end, but I did hear it a little bit before. What happened to Dexter? I don't know. I mean, they made the Dexter stage. They seem to suggest they wanted to do Dexter down the road at some point. But like I'm saying, MultiVersus, the way that they kind of do it is they just have a bunch of characters they want to do. They do various amounts of work on them. And I don't know if there was a very set schedule of, if there's like a year forward of like next season is going to be these two, and then it's going to be this character and this character and this character. If there's some set schedule like that, I do not know about it. All I know about is that they talked about a lot of characters, had them sitting there all the time. And going into the relaunch, they had a lot of characters coming. I heard, I knew like, we'll probably get Beetlejuice, we'll probably get Samurai Jack, we'll probably get Powerpuff Girls, we'll probably get, like I knew about all that stuff. But it has dried up over these seasons, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they knew they were getting close, they're going to get shut down. I don't know if they knew, or if they just ran out of characters they have done, if that's part of the shutdown or what. I don't know. Do I know anything about the next Smash? Like I said, I am no longer, if I hear anything, I am no longer talking about it. I'm only talking MultiVersus because the game is shutting down. So these aren't really leaks. They're just talking about a historical dead game. But yeah, no, I'm not talking about anything I've heard. My speculation, and this is based on everything public that everybody else can see and hear, is that they're probably working on Smash. Sakurai got some game proposal in 2022, and we had some Spirit events for Smash Ultimate, which means somebody had to be back in the office doing something for Smash, right? So I feel like that game proposal probably is Smash. I also feel like Nintendo's not going to go too long without a Smash game. They're definitely going to do a Smash game for Switch 2, right? Like, there's no way they wouldn't do that. And Smash takes time to get made, so 2022 starting it sounds about right to launch it in, like, 2026 or something, but that's just time frame guessing and speculation and stuff. If I hear anything about Smash, unfortunately, I'm going to be keeping it to myself. When Smash relaunches, when Smash comes back, it's not, I'm thinking MultiVersus, when Smash comes back, I'll do Smash speculation for sure, and if leaks pop up on like 4chan and Reddit and stuff, I'll talk about them, and I'll totally engage with the public stuff going on in the community. But if I hear something personally, if I hear a character, I don't want to become a leaker. I never wanted that life. It just slowly kind of happened, and I want to speculate and have fun with the rest of the community. I want to do it that way. So if I hear a character and get like very real information about them, I'm keeping it to myself. I mean, if it comes up in some other publicly posted leak or people are just speculating the character, I'll talk about, I'm not going to not talk about a character because I've heard about them or something. But I won't be telling you that I've heard about them. So there you go. Even after the fact, I don't want that. I don't want to be that leaker guy. I think I've proven at this point I can get like real info. I've had real info for Nintendo stuff, for Warner Brothers stuff, for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Like, there's a lot of games. I think there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff over the years at this point. And it's definitely gotten better and better and better. I mean, my Zelda game prediction, which was based on, stuff I had heard, plus some publicly known leak type stuff. I did the math. It was dead on accurate. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy spoiling stuff. I didn't want to be a leaker. I wanted to talk about speculation, which involves talking about leaks and stuff. But yeah. YouTube is censoring. $5 donation. Thank you so much. This proves once again there is no such thing as a Smash Bros. Killer. Other games like Halo are able to get killed, but Smash will never be defeated. Yeah, Smash is something special. Smash is very much so something special. Trebuchet, $2 donation. Thank you so much. PapaGenos, can you do a little jig for the fans? There you go. There's my jig. Thank you very much. Do you think everyone will be here in the next Smash, or will they cut characters? I'm gonna bet on they'll cut characters. However, I could see two scenarios happening that I'm kind of hoping for. Well, okay, I can see three scenarios happening. One, they don't cut characters because it's Smash Ultimate Deluxe, and we're just getting Smash Ultimate, and they keep building onto it. It's possible. I'm kind of leaning more towards it'll just be a new Smash in some form, but it's possible. Option two, Smash comes back with cut characters, but they're going to do a lot of DLC, or maybe endless DLC. Maybe it's just, this is Smash Forever, Smash Unlimited, whatever, whatever. That's the big cool new thing about this Smash game. And, the characters that got cut, because I think a big reason for cuts is going to be Square wants their characters paid for. This company, that company, this company wants to sell the characters again. They don't want to just give it to Nintendo right from the get-go. So, there's a bunch of cut characters, but they will return. We will get everyone who's here eventually. And DLC is just going to keep going, keep going, keep going. I could see that happening. What was the other scenario I could see? Oh, and then scenario 3, I could see it being a brand new Smash game, and Sakurai says something like, unfortunately, as I said before, Smash Ultimate just simply can't be topped. I don't know if we'll ever be able to beat that roster or something like that. And then it fades to black, and then it says, everyone is back, or something like that. And it's like, surprise, I didn't think it was possible, but we got everyone back, and we're actually going to have even more characters than Smash Ultimate. Who knew this could happen? Blah, blah, blah. Because Sakurai does these kind of surprises sometimes. That does happen. Smash blows us out of the water all the time. So I could see that happening. I could see that being the big whoa moment for the next Smash game. And Sakurai set us up. He's got our expectations lowered. That it's not going to be possible to give us, what they did with Ultimate. But then, boom, we do. Again, I think the more realistic choice is we're just going to do a lot of DLC and eventually everyone will come back. Because I know what happened. This isn't new. Cutting characters and having DLC is not new for Smash. We saw it with Smash 4. And what happens is everyone starts requesting Snake and Wolf and Ice Climbers and the cut characters. People want the cut characters back. It's usually one of the, if not the, number one request for characters to come back. I think when they did the Smash Belt, Sora won it, but I think all the cut characters are right up there too, if not even ahead of Sora, even if Sora is the new character that won it. I don't know. They didn't release the exact numbers, but I know Sakurai said something about them being highly requested, and that's part of why they did Everyone Is Here. It's just going to happen again if you cut characters this next Smash game. So I could see DLC fixing that over time. $5 donation from Naw. Thank you. This situation reminds me of PlayStation All-Stars. Devs were working on Dart and Abe before Sony cut the DLC short and screwed Superbot over. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, it just does happen when a game isn't making the money. The CEOs up at the top of the companies, things get canceled, and it's a bummer. Someone asked, did they ever do substantial work on Scooby-Doo? Are they ever planning on adding Scooby-Doo? Yeah. Not that I'm aware of. I think Scooby-Doo was definitely someone they wanted to do. I have vague recollection of that there were maybe talks of what a good Scooby moveset could be. So maybe they were. I know they had the model of Scooby in that hockey league, which is another pitfall of the game. Remember they I think before it relaunched, it had the McDonald's advertisement and the McDonald's promotion happened before relaunch, and then they also did a hockey collab, which was totally random to promote the game. And in one of the commercials or little snippets for that was the Mystery Machine driving, and they had a model of Scooby in the Mystery Machine. I have no idea, but again, speaks to kind of what I was talking about with they allocated resources all over the place and had kind of poor planning. They might have had somebody modeling Scooby-Doo and then used it for the commercial, and then there might be no media plan to get Scooby into the game. I don't know. Maybe there was a plan to get Scooby in the game, and that's why the model's there. I hadn't heard it. I feel like vaguely I heard that there were talks of how to do a Scooby moveset. I could be wrong about that. So I remember hearing characters like Scooby-Doo, Wicked Witch of the West, and Daffy Duck were nearly done by leaks. That's possible. Because, again, I'd heard so many names, and I was always more like, there's just a ton of names, and kind of just keep them off to the side. And I was really only focusing on characters that I was hearing was like, no, this character is being worked on to release. Because what would happen is you'd hear about, like, Raven during beta, and it'd be like, well, when's Raven happening? And now it's years later, and we just got Raven. So I never wanted to be like, yeah, Scooby's coming, or, oh, I just heard something about Scooby-Doo because he might happen 2027. Like, I don't know. Obviously not now. So I was always more just on, like, all right, who's really actually being worked on? So, like, with Lola, I'd heard, like, yeah, Lola is actually, like, first I heard Aquaman, I think Wicked Witch were probably the next two, and then they're like, no, they're going with Lola. And that's what I heard, like, a month or so before whatever they go on his Twitter, started hinting at Lola. If you can see it, what's going to happen with Player First Games after MultiVersus shuts down? I don't know for certain what's going to happen with Player First Games. I think I recall hearing something about them potentially doing another game with WB. I don't know if that was an older thing from a while back and if that's still in the cards or not. Obviously, things change, especially if WB is like, no, we didn't like your work on MultiVersus. We're not doing another game. I don't know the specifics. So it's possible we could get another WB game from Player First Games. Possible Player First Games goes into something else. Possible they disband. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Do I know if Aquaman clean-shaven blonde Aquaman, or is he bearded Aquaman like DCU Jason Momoa? I haven't seen Aquaman's model. I know that they had an Aquaman statue in the back of the Teen Titans stage, which I think had long hair. I think. I feel like I asked, or someone may have told me. I'm not sure if it was speculation or if it was something that I actually heard. That was probably that statue was probably what he's going to look like. I don't recall. Don't remember, unfortunately. I want to say I'm picturing in my head how I have been picturing Aquaman, which I'm guessing might be based on maybe what I heard, and I think it was probably not exactly Jason Momoa, but like long blonde hair, DCU, like animated DCU Aquaman, not like classic, whatever Aquaman, but that like animated series. Like Justice League, long blonde hair Aquaman. That's what I've been picturing in my head. I don't know if that's just because of the statue, and I don't know if that's actual information or not. Lola, I know what I saw of her was Space Jam, not Looney Tunes show. Though they have skins for characters, so maybe Looney Tunes show will be one of her skins. I don't know how much we're gonna get skins and whatnot for these characters at this point either. So who knows? Pipehead Backlog, $2 donation. Thank you so much. Look, Crunk, I'm on a PapaGenos stream. Is that like... Was it the Infraggable Crunk? Infraggable something like that. And the Justice Friends, I think they were called, on Dexter's Lab. It was like a knockoff Justice League. They had Val Hallen, Major Glory, and I think it was the Infraggable Crunk. If you're going to cancel the MultiVersus comic series DC was making, probably. I'd imagine so. I mean, there's a lot going on with MultiVersus. That's one of the things with big crossover series. Maybe one of the reasons WB's pulling the plug. Again, I'm just speculating. I don't know why it got the plug pulled on it specifically. But one of the reasons might be it's a crossover game. So you're burning bridges and maybe hurting relations with other places like DC. You go and say, hey, we want a comic book for this thing made, and they do it, and let's say it's not selling at all. This game's just not that popular. That's a bummer. That can hurt relations. It's kind of the opposite of what can happen with Smash. Like Smash is this big deal. It makes your game get very noticed, and seems like your game is historically significant in video games, and it's just it's a big honor to be in Smash. But Smash is a very highly acclaimed, very well regarded game. MultiVersus could have the opposite effect. I don't know. Did you hear anything about Ben 10? Yeah, the same thing as always. I've said this a million times. They wanted to do Ben 10, but they wanted to do him right, so they weren't going to do him. He'd take a lot of work. So as far as I know, they never got off he never got off the page of like, thinking about what he could potentially be like. But I think they did. I think eventually they would have given us Ben 10, but could have been years down the line. Why is Season 5 lasting until May? I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I assume it's just Aquaman and Lola, but it's possible if it's a longer season, which it is a long season. Maybe they'll give us the rest of the characters that they can finish. It's possible. I'm not gonna rule it out. Yo, PapaGenos, I remember something being said about a Fortnite collaboration between MultiVersus and Fortnite. Was that true? Yeah, they at least wanted to do that. I don't know, again, how deep into negotiations it actually got. But yeah, they wanted to do, like, that you'd get a skin in MultiVersus, you get a skin in Fortnite, or potentially, like, a character or series is happening in Fortnite would happen in MultiVersus at the same time. Gandalf's reason for being scrapped was revealed. Was it because of, just what was happening with Lord of the Rings at the time? I believe Lord of the Rings was, like, changing hands in a weird way. I think that was kind of already known. Was Hermione ever worked on beyond vague rumor? Not that I'm aware of. I just know WB wanted a Harry Potter character. I think probably because of Hogwarts Legacy or around the same time. They wanted like 3. So WB obviously didn't realize how long it takes to make a character and stuff. They wanted like 3. They had run out of WB wanted Black Adam, so they like had to put Wicked Witch and Beetlejuice on the back burner because they were supposed to be like Halloween characters, or one of them anyway. Marvin was their like character they were going to save until they ran out of characters, and they did Marvin in November. And then that December, or maybe even November, WB was telling them like to get Harry Potter characters out this season, which they hadn't worked on at all. It was like brand new, and Tony wanted to do a female character because they hadn't yet. So they kind of were like, well, maybe we'll do Hermione, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get a female character in the game, and appease WB wanting a Harry Potter character. But got past that, and I don't know. I do think it's crazy. I said this earlier, and I know Harry Potter is a touchy subject IP, and I completely agree with why, and whatever, like J.K. Rowling, and everything. And some people divorce the art from the artist. Some people have completely shunned off Harry Potter. But regardless of that, it's a huge IP. Hogwarts Legacy, I think, was like the best-selling game last year or something. WB obviously has Harry Potter stuff that they can use. So for MultiVersus not to use some of the things that they had access to, or just, if you, I said this earlier, but if you take the number of characters we have on the roster and you just say, you blank it out and you just hand someone a piece of paper and say, okay, make a WB platform fighter, and put the biggest, best characters, best well-known characters from WB in it. Make the Smash of WB, you get a different roster than MultiVersus has. And I get why it's a little different. They wanted to do 2v2 at first, so you have to do 2 characters from everything. And then they dropped that, and then I think they dropped it even before it kind of came out, because we had like Arya and Iron Giant who don't have, they didn't have partners. But anyway, just, we have stuff that isn't here that, like for an WB All-Star lineup, certain things should probably be here that aren't. And other things are here that maybe shouldn't. I don't know. So yeah. Which is fine. Like, Smash does that too. Smash, like, it took, 3 Smash games to get, like, Wario in the game. Yet we have Ice Climbers before that. You have Jigglypuff before that. But the thing with Smash is Smash goes back to, like, the N64 days where, your video game news came from magazines and Like nowadays, I can pull something out of my pocket and I can type to someone in Japan like that. Back in the late 90s when Smash 64 comes out, you want to talk to someone in Japan, you're paying a hefty fee over a landline phone. It's a different world these days. Back then, I think it was way more just kind of forgivable and whatever for games to just... And Smash was a brand new thing. It's a crossover. Who knows where it's going to go? Who knows what it's going to be like? Just to be kind of wonky with the choices and unique and whatever. And then by the time of Brawl, when it's like the internet and people want the characters they want, blah, 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 you have to do a little bit more of like, okay, the characters that need to be here need to be here. And I feel like when you do a Smash clone in 2020, whatever, when it came out, I think you have to be a little bit more... It's the All-Stars. You can't be too much Banana Garden wackiness. You can maybe do it like once. Like, you can't do Rain Dog original character. You can't do Banana Garden. You gotta kind of think... I give this advice to if Disney does a platform fighter or any other company does it, like, make sure your initial roster lineup is heavy hitters right out of the gate. You want people who are into all these different things to get eyes on your game immediately. Was Mordecai and Rigby ever talked about? Mordecai definitely was. Mordecai was definitely in the works. Again, how far in, I don't know. I would have guessed he was a little further. Like, I'd probably place Mordecai right behind... Like, Aquaman and Lola are coming out. Wicked Witch, I think, was pretty finished. Mordecai's probably within a small pool of characters right after that. If I were to... Like, let's say this season, let's say they give us Aquaman and Lola, and they finish up whatever characters they can finish up. My guess, if that happened, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm kind of doubting it will happen. But if that happened, Wicked Witch would be one of them. I'd probably bet Mordecai would be one of the other ones that they'd get finished. But I don't know that for sure. Does Lola have a basketball similar to LeBron? I don't know how she fights. I just know that she is Space Jam Lola. I don't know if that's original Space Jam or remake Space Jam. I just know she's Space Jam Lola, and not is it the Looney Tunes show? The revamp look of her. She may have a skin for that revamp look, but that's not her main look. Or I mean, I shouldn't say it's not her main look because I don't really know that either. Could be that the Looney Tunes show is her main look, and I just saw the Space Jam thing as a skin. I don't know, but what I saw was Space Jam Lola, so I know at least Space Jam Lola is happening. That's what I've seen. Was Flash in talks? I'm not entirely aware of Flash, but given where they're at with DC stuff, I mean, I would guess Green Lantern and Flash would be like the next two that I'd probably pick at this point. But I hadn't heard. What was the extent of Gumball's development? So I said this earlier. I don't know, and that's kind of... So the characters that I've usually talked about have been characters that I've personally heard from sources. I know someone who has their own sources, and Gumball came from one of their sources. Now, the person I know I trust big time, and I don't think they've ever had anything wrong for MultiVersus that they've told me. But since it came from one of their sources, I have no idea the stage of development that Gumball's in. The whole time I was hearing stuff, I always had to be very careful about filtering or trying to... That's why I had that big image that had, like, these are characters I think are coming soon. These are characters that are, like, have been discussed. These are, like, water cooler talk, like, the name's been said characters. I always had to kind of stagger it because of the way MultiVersus makes characters. Is just very... They talk about a lot of characters. Doesn't necessarily mean they're actually in development or happening anytime soon. So, again, this is a chain of telephone that I'm hearing Gumball from. I trust it, but whether or not they heard Gumball and it's Gumball's a character that they've once mentioned they'd like to do at some point, or if it means this person knew someone who was modeling Gumball, I don't know. I don't know, but Gumball was the other mystery Cartoon Network character that I had heard. Was Jordan talked about alongside Gumball? Again, that is the extent of the Gumball stuff that I know. Is literally just the name was heard, and it's a game of telephone from someone else's source. So, yeah. And that's what happened with Scorpion. I said this earlier. Initially, what I had heard was that Mortal Kombat, or is it NetherRealm Studio? Who does Mortal Kombat? I'm drawing a blank. They wanted too much control over the character. That was like back in like beta. I heard that. They wanted too much control of the character, but the Player First Games did want a Mortal Kombat character, but the Mortal Kombat guys were going to have too much control. Then we saw, when the game relaunched, we saw a picture of John Tobias in the Player First Game studio, so it seemed like they were doing something there. Then there was, I think, an Instagram post by John Tobias's son that kind of badmouthed Tony, saying something about Tony, like, mismanaging or whatever, which I've said in this stream, I had been hearing that the whole time, too, that Tony was tough to work with and not good at management. I don't know Tony. I've never talked to Tony. I can't say that firsthand. I'm hearing that secondhand from people. But some people, I showed this earlier, have said as much publicly now, and we'll probably hear more because I heard it from multiple people. So I don't know if that John Tobias' son posting that about Tony, I can only speculate on maybe negotiations didn't go so well, but I don't know for sure. I don't know. It's also totally possible. NetherRealm Studio. Okay, I don't know if that's what I said or not, but yeah, NetherRealm Studio makes Mortal Kombat. So I don't know if a Mortal Kombat character was decided and they're in the works for it, and John Tobias' son just had a bad experience and posted on Instagram about it, or if John Tobias' son posting on Instagram had to do with, I was in the studio there and Tony was super difficult to work with, and we just were like, nah. I don't know. Someone said, so it's true. Tony is a really bad person. I don't know that. Okay, and I'd hate to say he's a bad person. I don't know that. I had heard the whole time, and I'd kind of been saying this without dropping Tony's name before, was that, they needed to plan things. They needed better scheduling. It needed that. That's all management stuff. That's the head guy, is the one that plans out. These are the characters working on. This is when we're working on them. This is how we're going to get this out the door. I had heard that was always a problem at Player First Games, always a problem with MultiVersus. And I've heard from multiple people that, like, just some things about Tony not being the best to work with. But I don't know that for sure, so, like, don't quote me on that. And if Tony's out there, no disrespect, man. I don't know you, and I haven't worked for you. Maybe if I worked for you, I'd be like, no, he's a great boss. He's really good at managing things. He is, the type of boss I'd want managing or something. I don't know. I haven't worked for the guy. But from what I've heard from other people, I've had bosses in the past that I've liked that other people haven't liked. And I've had bosses in the past that I don't like that other people did like. So, when something like this happens, let's say you have 100 employees under you. Some of them maybe didn't like you. Some of them did. Like, that happens basically anywhere. So I don't know. Yeah. Red Lee, $2.99 donation. Do you think Porky Minch could have been in the game? I don't know about in MultiVersus. In Smash Bros, totally possible. I always thought it was weird Porky used to be a boss in Smash. I guess, like, there was that theory about, like, it's the absolutely safe capsule is, like, a joke that he's not in the game. But that's, like, a spirit, and I don't know, it's a little weird. It was very weird that he was absent. I get that joke, but I feel like if that was the joke, when you do when you fight the bosses in the, what's the spirit? I can't even think of the name of it. Is it World of Light or whatever? The spirit board thing that you're... the one-player game in Smash Ultimate. When you're fighting, like, the bosses from past games, they had, like, a bunch of them in there to fight. You never fight Porky Minch, even though he was in Brawl as a boss. Like, I feel like if the joke was absolutely safe capsule, like, you have those bosses, and then one of them is you just get the absolutely safe capsule as a spirit, and then you move on. That would have, to me, read as a joke of, oh, that's why Porky's not in the game, because he's in an absolutely safe capsule. That's funny. But I don't think it was like that. I think it was just, like, people just kind of speculated, like, maybe that's why he's not in the game. So I thought it was really weird he was absent from the game. Very, very strange. So I just don't like smear campaigns against people. Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm coming from. I'm just relaying, and this is partly because I've seen it publicly posted today. And I never, like I said, I've heard this from people. Some of it secondhand, some of it whatever, that they didn't like working with Tony. But up until now that people are saying it, I've never said it. And even when I'm saying it now, I'm just kind of relaying what I've heard. Again, I don't know Tony. I haven't worked with him. I'm not, like I said, if I worked underneath him, maybe I'd think he was a great boss. People have different manager styles, whatever. And maybe he was managing things totally fine. Maybe the schedule was good, and maybe people were bad at following it for whatever reason. Maybe it was too hard. I don't, and so they were saying, oh, the schedule's terrible. It's planned out badly. I don't know. I can't say. Just a nerd, $5 donation. Thank you so much. I heard that multiple characters, Ruby, Daffy, Emmett, were in various levels of playable in pre-release builds. Is this true? Ooh, who did I hear? Oh, it was. I did hear that there was a. I didn't hear those specific characters. That may be true though. I did hear that there were pre-release or like tester builds of the game. I think right before relaunch, if my timing's right. And there was at least definitely some people who had the game who had like Nubia was playable in their version of the game before we got Nubia. I know that definitely happened. Nubia specifically, I think was the one I heard. I think. So like there might have been another one that had like Aquaman in it. There may have been some playtest groups that had these characters. So if there was a playtest group that had Ruby, Daffy, and Emmett, entirely possible that exists. And maybe before the season's over, maybe we'll start with Aquaman and Lola, and maybe they'll give us what other characters they have finished if they're in playtesting stages. I don't know though. But I will say that what you're saying, that there were how'd you put it? Pre-release builds of the game that I did hear. I don't know if that's publicly known, so I don't know if somebody took that and made a fake leak, or I don't know where you're hearing that information from. But I am aware that there were some kind of builds or playtester builds or pre-release builds, whatever, that had characters that we didn't get for a little while. So some people had played as them and seen them finish. Nubia being one of them, if I'm remembering correctly. It might also Aquaman might have also been one. I don't know. I was kind of fuzzy on the memory, but that tracks with at least what I heard. So yeah, but if that's true, possible, we could see those characters if they're in a semi-finished state before the game's over. Maybe they'll just release everybody. That'd be awesome. I mean, it wouldn't be awesome because the game's shutting down, but best case scenario right now, I feel like, is if there's some other characters done, give us everything they can. So was 11 from Stranger Things actually planned at one point? I remember hearing rumors about that she'd been Datamined. Yeah, so this was really, really weird. So I remember there was a Datamined, I think, for a model for 11, but then I can't recall if that was actually a fake Datamined or a real one. I don't remember. I want to say it maybe was fake. But what was definitely very real was that Raven had a voice line about crushing a soda can with her mind. Not Raven doing it, but talking to someone else who was doing that, implying she was talking to 11. What I had heard, and this does not make sense to me, and I've asked about it, and I can't figure out what was going on. What I had heard was that 11, that Player First Games pitched the game to a bunch of different places. That's why there were like Marvel characters in the Dataminds, and I think Naruto was in the Dataminds or something. I don't know if that was actually getting Naruto in the game or if they were just doing placeholder stuff for that ninja character that they were playtesting the game with or what. But that's why there was some weird stuff. And I had heard that they had pitched the game to like Netflix or maybe somehow something that is in relation to Stranger Things before they got WB to buy into the game. But that doesn't make sense to me why you would have Raven record the line for that character if it was before WB decided to do the game. So maybe this is speculating based on what I've heard. Maybe they did pitch the game to Netflix. Netflix said no, but Netflix was still like, we'd be interested if you got it somewhere else or something. Pitched it to WB. WB says yes, and then they were like, well, we have good relations with when we talk to Netflix. Maybe we can get 11 from Stranger Things in the game as like a guest character. But that's just me speculating, based on So it's weird because it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that 11, that he would have Raven record as if they were going to work with 11. If you've already dropped the Netflix deal and gone with the WB deal, not that there was ever a Netflix deal, but you've dropped the doing the negotiations. So that's the only way I can make sense of it. So is it breaking soda can with mind is not unusual? It's not unusual. I forget exactly how the line went, but like, I don't know if you've seen Stranger Things. That's a very much so an 11 thing. It was crush a soda can with your mind. Very, very much so Stranger Things. Do I think the reason Disney dropped the idea of the game was because of Marvel Rivals? I have no idea. And I don't know if maybe they had I don't even know if they ever went to Disney. They may have been setting up to pitch it to different places, and then WB was the first one, and they just said, oh, cool, we got it. I don't know. I don't know exactly how that went down. Oh, the line Papa is referring to mentions 11 by her nickname. Does it? Okay, well then there you go. Yeah, it seemed pretty obvious it was 11. Also, I'm reading Papa and 11 in the same sentence, and like Papa is one of the characters in Stranger Things. He's not a good character though. I wouldn't I wouldn't want to be associated with him. Though I like the actor. The actor is the dude from, I found this out recently. The actor who played, is it Brenner? I think Brenner is Papa. Eleven's Papa is Brenner. The actor who plays Brenner is the same dude as I think is Joker in Full Metal Jacket, the Stanley Kubrick, a Vietnam movie that's really good. I think the main guy's Joker. It's the main guy. I think his name's Joker. Obviously, he's a lot older when he plays Brenner. Full Metal Jacket came out a long time ago, but I thought that was cool. Good actor. So, PapaGenos, I'm really going to miss MultiVersus. I feel like it had been on Switch, it would have been more successful or profitable. Yeah, that was one of the things. I was actually really hopeful for a potential revival moment, was if Switch 2 maybe announced that MultiVersus was happening for it. Because I do think a lot of the platform fighting game community is on Nintendo hardware. Whether it's enjoy playing platform fighters with a GameCube controller, because that's just what everybody's been used to since like 2001. I do feel like that's where a lot of the platform fighting game community is, because of Smash, it's the biggest one. So I don't know if I don't know how Nintendo feels about rival platform fighters. Nintendo seems to usually be cool. Like, they'll have knockoff Mario Kart games on Switch. They don't care. But I think the whole thing with MultiVersus was probably just couldn't run on the Switch, but maybe it could have ran on the Switch too. And I was kind of hoping, I know there was like some Datamined stuff that suggested they had a control scheme kind of ready for Switch, or it had been worked on, which was probably just pre-planning just in case. But yeah, it would have been cool to get MultiVersus announced for Switch too. I think that was a possible, the game turns around moment. So unfortunate we didn't get to see that happen. And I'm also going to miss MultiVersus. Like I said earlier, I haven't really been playing it much lately, but I played it a lot when it relaunched, played a ton during beta. Like, there have definitely been moments where I've played it a lot, and it's sad. I'm sad to see it go. Just curious, was I surprised to hear the game was going to be shut down? So I had heard months ago, maybe only a couple months into relaunch, like let's say mid-relaunch, the game's not doing so great, blah blah blah. But kind of everybody knew that the game wasn't, it needed to come back with like a strong punch, and it didn't. It came back, and people were kind of mad about a bunch of stuff, and then it never really gained footing. So I'd heard, it's not doing that good, and then I kind of heard like, people are just kind of, because I kind of asked, is it going to shut down? Is it like what? And I just kind of heard, people are just kind of waiting to see, like, you just kind of keep working on it and see if WB ever comes down on them. And then in the very recently here, I was hearing, not from my sources though, I was hearing from other people saying stuff like, I think the game's going to shut down. But I don't know if that was just because we hadn't heard anything about Season 5 yet, so people were just speculating, or if people had actually been hearing stuff. And then this happened. So it didn't totally blindside me. And especially in the last couple of days, I had people messaging me like, is the game going to shut down? I'm hearing the game's shutting down, blah, blah, blah. So definitely the last few days, I kind of felt this might happen. But did I expect... Asked me a month ago, I would say, no, I'll probably get Season 5, I'll probably get Season 6, Season 7. I don't know how long the game's going to last. So, yeah. So it said mid-relaunch in all caps. Now, I'm not saying like I heard the game was going to shut down mid-relaunch. I'm just saying it was around then that I was hearing like, oh, the game's just not doing that good. But it could have been, but at the same time, it was like, is it going to last 2 more years? Is it going to last 2 more months? And it was just kind of like, nobody knows. It could last 2 more years and maybe it has a chance to turn around. I don't know. So that's my thoughts on Switch 2 now that it's revealed. I kind of want to try to stay on MultiVersus. I know I keep going over to Smash. It's at least semi-related. But I'll just real quick. It's Switch 2. It's kind of what I expect it to be. Probably have a few other little neat features. Seems like it might do the mouse thing because of the way they had the Joy-Cons sliding across the table. And I think someone was saying that. But the magnetic Joy-Cons I'm wary of, but I assume Nintendo, they're usually good with hardware stuff. I assume they figured it out. I'm just happy I'm glad it has a good kickstand. I never got the OLED model, so my kickstand is still the crappy little tiny one, and I hate that thing. So I'm happy to get a decent set, like a long kickstand on the next one. But it seems like it's just another Switch. I'm more happy for the games it's going to be able to play, hearing games going to come out for. The actual hardware itself is just another Switch, which I'm fine with because I love the Switch. I honestly didn't want them to mix it up that much, so I'm totally happy with Switch 2. But there's not that much to say about it either. We've been hearing leaks about it for like 2 years, and it's pretty much the leaks that we've been hearing are just, yeah, that's what it is. So I'm more excited to see in April when they show off games and when they actually show like the UI for it and maybe talk about what other little features it has and the specs for it and all that stuff. But I'm more excited just to see what games it can play that Nintendo's probably going to be able to play. I mean, if it is as powerful as like a PS4 Pro or whatever, which people have been talking about, like I have a PS5, but it doesn't. I'm telling you, I don't see much of a difference from my PS4. And most games that come out for PS5 come out for PS4 too. So if the Switch 2 can play most modern games and it's handheld, and I have that ability to play a handheld, I'm probably gonna buy it on Switch 2. You know, gaming it's plateaued. Like the whole graphics and power, it plateaus at a certain point, and you can only spend so much time making a game too. So how big can you make these games? That's one of the problems with AAA games is they take like 5 or 6 years to come out. So. Do we want the game to start taking 10 years to come out? Like, no. So, yeah, I'm excited for Switch 2, but I'm excited just more to see what's on it and what it can do. The actual reveal for it is what it is. But I'm not mad at the reveal either. Like, that's kind of just what I wanted. It's just another Switch because I like the Switch. So is Fred Flintstone actually in the works? Not that I had ever heard. Will Asul reveal anything in the future? Maybe they will. I don't know. I talked to them, but I don't know what their plans are for anything. I just talked to them because they're another big MultiVersus speculation person. So. Did I hear that Lola and Aquaman were the final characters? So I heard Aquaman and Lola were happening for season 5. I have not heard they're the final characters for sure. If they drop more characters in this season later on, if they just give us whatever they're finished with, if they're even finished with more stuff, possible, but I don't know. So no, I have not heard that they're the final characters. I have heard Aquaman and Lola. I knew about that for a while. Where's Big Chungus? Big Chungus was someone I had heard they wanted to do as like the Dan of Street Fighter for MultiVersus, so... Yeah. So I saw the announcement and immediately thought of you. I mean, I'm glad that it's weird to be associated with a canceled game. Immediately think of me. But yeah, thanks for thinking of me. Anything about Ted Lasso? Oh, the Ted Lasso thing was so weird. I think I said this before, but so Ted Lasso was part of that like Reddit leak or whatever that was dubious at best from what I heard. Basically, it had some things right about the game, like that the game was happening, but that actual list of like characters and stuff was hit and miss. Like they were right about some characters, but they were probably just guessing because other ones were just completely not anything Player First Games ever talked about. Ted Lasso being one of those characters that Player First Games had never talked about. But because of that Reddit leak, I think the actor who plays Ted Lasso reached out to Player First Games back when, that early Reddit leak was like a big thing, and there were probably headlines about like Ted Lasso coming to this video game, and he was like, if you want to use my likeness, you totally can. Like, I'd love to be a part of it. So Player First Games were like, oh, maybe we'll do like an announcer, maybe we'll do something with this actually. So that leak did actually kind of lead to potential negotiations for something Ted Lasso related. But whether or not, maybe it'll happen in season 5, I don't know. I have no idea if that ever got off the ground further than that. But I thought that was a really funny story. Someone said, how close was Wicked Witch to being released? As far what I had heard, I'd initially heard Aquaman Wicked Witch for season 5, and then when I heard about Lola, it was, they're actually going to go with Lola instead. So I don't know if that means Wicked Witch is done, or if that means they're planning to finish Wicked Witch and then they do Lola, or I don't know. But my guess was Wicked Witch is, if I had to guess at which character is the next most finished, I mean, maybe there's some other characters that are even more finished, or maybe there's a few characters that are completely finished and Wicked Witch is among them. But if I had to guess, the only character I'm pretty aware of or pretty certain is probably pretty close to being fixed, because I had initially heard they were going to happen with Aquaman for season 5, was Wicked Witch. So what about the Aquafina leak? Yeah, that might top the craziest or weirdest thing I heard about this game. was that WB gave Player First Games like a list of characters to like potentially, you know, pull from or whatever that they'd like to see in the game or they'd be happy to have in the game. One of them was Aquafina, the like actress. That's weird. That is so weird. Player First Games just laughed it out and was like laughed it off and was like absolutely not. You know, I don't know if they told WB absolutely not, or if they just looked at the page and were just like absolutely not doing that. I don't know if WB even understands what a platform fighter is to suggest Aquafina, or if all they heard was this is a game you can advertise characters with, and they were like Aquafina. Yeah, that's a weird one. That one. You sometimes hear about, I don't know, like Hollywood and industry plants and pushing agendas and certain people doing, like, I don't know, getting deals to get pushed and who gets the limelight and who does it. And, like, Aquafina just feels so inorganic. I don't know anyone, and I'm not, like, totally knocking her. Like, I've heard people say, she was okay in this and okay in that. I've heard some other things she was terrible in. I just don't know anybody who's like who likes her or whatever. But to know that WB was like, oh, you can put her in this fighting game, which makes no sense. There's like something going on where she must be contractually obligated for them to put her in stuff for somebody somewhere for some reason is putting her in things. like I've reached behind the curtain of the weirdness of Hollywood, and yes, sometimes some weird shit goes on there. Forgive my language, but it's apparently true. From what I can see, Aquafina being suggested for MultiVersus is like, you know, right up there with other weird Hollywood conspiracy stuff about who gets prioritized and who, like, yeah, there's sometimes some weird stuff, man. Sometimes some weird stuff. Any villains that were considered? I mean, Wicked Witch was a villain, right? I'm kind of saying that there weren't many characters that I was aware of that were definitely coming soon. Like, if you would ask me, like, what characters are coming from MultiVersus, I would have only been able to, you know, say, you know, a handful at this point, which again might be part of why they're getting shut down. It's possible that they can't keep up with the character release. I don't know that for sure, though. Also possible that a lot of those characters' names that I had heard that I wasn't aware of how far in development they are. Maybe they do have like 5 characters ready to go and they'll drop some of them. I don't know. I don't know. Random bit of knowledge. Aquafina was given an honorary doctorate at my college graduation ceremony. Yeah, like what? Does she have like some dirt on like some high up politician or some high up Hollywood person, and they're just giving her stuff? Like, I don't know. If she feels inorganic, I know that the term is industry plant, but just all that stuff. Like, I don't know. I definitely delve into conspiracy theories sometimes. But to peer behind the curtain and see that she was pushed for MultiVersus is just what? Like, so if you're wondering, like, next time you see a movie and it's like I know people were talking about who can voice Amy in the next Sonic movie, and some people were joking Aquafina, like, or whatever. But like, be careful because they might actually just go with it, like, which suck. So it's weird. I don't exactly even hate her because I don't really know. Like, I haven't seen her in much. I've seen like I saw like a clip from the Little Mermaid movie that I think she was singing and it was awful. Or a few things, like the few things I have seen of her. She had, I think, a Comedy Central show. I remember seeing like commercials for it. I might have saw like a few minutes of it sometime when I was watching like South Park, and then went into that or something. When I left the TV on the channel for a little while, I didn't appeal to me. Nothing about her appealed to me. I was like, eh. And the name Aquafina is weird to me too. Like, isn't that like the water bottle? I don't know. But anyway, I'm not trying to hate on her too hard because I really don't. I haven't seen much of her work. But from what I've seen of what other people feel about her, it seems like she's not that popular. Every time I see some people going, "Oh, her again, I don't really like her," but somehow she's getting in everything. And I've seen, again, peel behind the curtain a little bit, that yeah, she gets pushed by WB. What's up with that? Who said Aquafina hate is overblown? Yeah, I don't really know. Like I said, I really don't know. I haven't seen her in much at all. But I've seen a lot of hate. I've seen more hate than I've seen like, and I've also seen her in, like, not seen her in, but I keep seeing that she's in a bunch of stuff. And I just feel like when somebody's like seemingly generally disliked, you'd think they'd get less work, but somehow no. And then to see that, and I'm not necessarily just even talking about Aquafina. It's more like just seeing this, the fuller picture, seeing that she was pushed for something that absolutely should not push for this person, knowing she's in a bunch of stuff, knowing the general public seems to dislike her, makes me think, okay, sometimes, yeah, behind the scenes, some people somehow get promoted into a bunch of stuff. I don't really understand how it works because it doesn't seem to make any sense. So there's something fishy going on sometimes. Anything related to Ruby Rose or Godzilla? Same stuff I've always heard. Godzilla, they wanted to do, but they didn't want to do another big character after Iron Giant for a while because Iron Giant has a lot of issues. So they probably were going to do Godzilla, but it could be a year, it could be 2 years, who knows. It was just kind of put on the back burner. And then Ruby, I had heard, was one of the characters they wanted to do. I would have guessed she'd be out sometime this year based on what I was hearing. But I never heard she was like cut from the game or anything. I heard that she was going to happen. I heard she was going to happen after. I'm not a Ruby fan, so I don't know it super well. But whatever happened with Ruby, where it's not WB anymore or whatever, I had heard about it after that happened. Because when the person told me about it, first thing I was like, that's gonna be controversial because I just heard that like WB doesn't have that anymore, have the IP anymore. So as far as I know, she wasn't cut or anything. But how far she was in development, I don't know. Again, based on just what I heard, my guess would have been she would have been within the next few seasons, would have been my guess. But it's just a guess. I don't know. Was there anything about Mojo Jojo? My guess was just future-proofing. It's probably similar to when you get like Tara Strong in the recording studio. You might as well get her to voice some other characters for you and record some lines. I'm guessing they just had him in the studio and they were like, hey, just in case we ever do this. Probably also after, like, they made Banana Guard into a full-fledged fighter. So I think they were probably at that point very aware that, like, if we have a model of a character or we have some work done on a character, sometimes just for quicker turnaround because of just how much time it takes to make a character, we might want to have some stuff in our pocket that could potentially turn into a character. But that's, that's just speculation. Same speculation anybody else could do. So is it going to relaunch? Not this time. I don't think. I mean, maybe. But I don't know. Why did they make Nubia into a character? I don't know. I don't know the specifics on that. My guess would be easy turnaround, basing her on Wonder Woman. Maybe wanting more female characters in the game, and possibly I don't like getting into it too much with this stuff because people get really opinionated on how they feel about companies doing this, but makes sense to me. Some diversity stuff, it's a woman of color in your game, and again, probably an opportunity to easily make her off of Wonder Woman. So my guess is that's probably part of the reason they lean towards her, which I'm fine with that. Like, I'm fine with trying to make your game as diverse as possible, both in appealing to people of different diversities by having characters that they relate to in that way. Not that I don't think people can relate to characters that don't share aspects with them, which or whatever. And I'm always more of like in platform fighters, crossover stuff, I'm all for diversity being there, but I think diversity should be a bit more in like what IPs are here from different things, stuff like that. But you have to kind of balance a couple different types of diversity. There's like, gender diversity, race diversity, and IP diversity. And I think it's important to just, make your game, especially when it's doing a crossover game, you want it as appealing as possible and as, going for as many plays as possible. That's my guess for why Nubia was picked. From what I know, I have no idea exactly why they picked Nubia. I think probably the number one reason was probably because she's easy to make off of Wonder Woman, would be my guess. David Zaslav is kill this game the same way he did Cartoon Network. Yeah, I mean, WB's canceling a lot of their stuff. On the flip side of that token, though, I'm not defending David Zaslav. I was super against him canceling stuff right from the start, and I had some people coming at me when I was saying that, like, oh, I don't like the direction of DC anyway, so it's good that he's canceling stuff. And now it seems like everybody's turned against him. Like, nah, I think everybody's come around to, cancel like these finished projects and just canceling them for tax write-offs, and not giving it, like, not letting the artists just show their art off because this is a business, like, is such bullcrap in my opinion. So yeah, most people seem to be, against him these days. But on the flip side of that coin is, MultiVersus had a ton of potential, but there was a lot of pitfalls. Some of those pitfalls being probably from WB, like the way that it was monetized. Some of those pitfalls being potentially from management, player first games, possibly Tony. I don't know for sure on what did what, but obviously this game hit a lot of pitfalls. The blame being all around, even to us fans. I think the fans were really negative every time the game had something negative. The internet gets real excited about negativity sometimes, but what unfortunately happens if you do that too much is then you paint the game badly. And when someone hears MultiVersus, they go, MultiVersus is bad. I've heard bad. And then they just don't do anything with it. I mean, I was kind of just saying the same thing about Aquafina. I really don't know that much about Aquafina, but when I hear Aquafina, I've heard public opinion, bad. So that's just, that's what I think. It's hard to escape the propaganda in the world of the internet and stuff these days, where we're very influenced by that stuff. It's hard to break away. But yeah, us fans, every time something bad happened for MultiVersus, instead of being like, well, we see a lot of potential here, let's keep going. A lot of us did say, oh, that sucks, it's bad, blah, blah, playing too much, game gets painted in a bad light, and that's what it is. Though, conversely, on that, people do like an underdog story, and I've talked about No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 2077. I'm a big Fallout fan, and I totally admit Fallout 76 was garbage on launch. I think it's a very good game right now. I think Fallout 76 is great. I play it pretty regularly, whereas I played it for a while and forced myself to play it for a while because I love Fallout so much, and basically hated the experience at the start, and I just kept coming back to it here and there, and over time it's gotten better, and now I think it's a really good game. And I was hopeful MultiVersus would turn around and be one of those underdog stories where it's like, oh, remember how bad? Remember it had to shut down on beta, and then the relaunch was like it was like almost not very, like, they changed how it played and everything. It was super slow and we liked it. And then a year or two later, man, it's a great game. Now it's like one of the biggest games at EVO, and it's awesome. Everybody loves it, and people are super as excited for the next MultiVersus character as they are to see a new Smash reveal. But we never got to that point, unfortunately. Brandon Williams, $9.99 donation. Thank you so much. Hey, Papa, just got here and wanted to show my support. It's a shame about MultiVersus. Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a real bummer. I've been talking different things about it. What's bad stuff happened with it and blah blah blah. But it is a bummer because of the potential that this game had. I think everybody, low player count numbers aside, whatever, how many people are actually looking at it now, it had a huge amount of eyes on it when it first launched. People were hailing it as, potentially a Smash killer, potentially the next big thing in fighting games. It won Fighting Game of the Year, I think probably because of that initial boost of interest in the game, and that was entirely because of the game's potential. That was entirely because of what people saw as a never-ending Smash game. Excuse me a second. Never-ending Smash game with a pool of characters to rival Smash, pulling from Nintendo and like all of gaming. This is pulling from everything WB has access to, among potentially other things for guest fighters. So much potential there. So bummer that it's ending this way. I don't think the blame is on any one thing either. Like I said, I think the fans probably overly negative about the game. I think player first games definitely didn't do some things right. They didn't do some things right. Probably should never launch beta. Probably needed to be better planned out and everything. And then WB themselves were probably where the scummy monetization practices come from. I think the game probably would have done a lot better if every character was just unlocked and the things you paid for were only skins and the cosmetics and stuff, like most other free-to-play games. That's the way to do it. Yeah, so the blame is kind of across the board that this didn't work out, but I think also the the sadness of it shutting down is also being probably felt across the board. I'm sure Player First Games is bummed about it. I'm sure WB is bummed that this didn't work out, and obviously the fans are bummed because of the potential this game had. I wanted to love MultiVersus. There is a timeline and a universe where MultiVersus does everything right, and it's the biggest thing. It's as big as Smash, and I probably love it as much as Smash. So unfortunate. I think there's a chance they drop Daffy Duck, Pickle Rick, Wicked Witch later in the season, as Lola and Aquaman are coming at the beginning. Yeah, I've talked about that before. It's possible. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Entirely possible. If they do have other characters done, they might get dropped later on in the season. If I had to guess, I have no idea what would ever happen with Pickle Rick, because it was like an Echo Fighter, and I don't know if they just completely scrapped the idea, or if they did so much work on him that, yeah, they'd maybe drop him. Wicked Witch seemed like it was going to be the next character, because what I had initially heard for Season 5 was Aquaman, Wicked Witch, and then I heard, oh no, they're going to go with Lola instead. Daffy Duck, don't know how far along he is. I said Mordecai would be another one I'd guess might be somewhat far along, but I could be wrong about that. Ruby is possible. I'm trying to think of a few other names. Maybe could be in close to finishing stages, but I don't know exactly what shutdown means either. I don't know if shutdown means like, the entire staff that works on creating characters, you're not coming into work tomorrow, or if it means, they're shutting down in, I do some math here, May 30th. And everybody still comes to work and they can try to finish those characters up or, get things rolling. I don't know. Or if some characters are totally finished. Like maybe Wicked Witch is 100% finished and they just have to drop the character. Possible. I don't know. So I'm as in the dark as everyone else on that front. Would be cool. I mean, not great because the game's shutting down, but obviously I'd prefer to get as many characters or things in the game. And there's a lot of stages that were data mined too. I'd love to get as much stuff that is finished or finishable in the game as possible at this point, just so it's a more complete game. Though I did hear somewhere that like you only have unlocked, I think once the game goes offline, the things you unlocked, which just, I don't know. I guess they're probably saying that so that maybe people, continue to like buy stuff. I don't know. Maybe there won't be any Gleamium or stuff buying. I don't want to say that because maybe they said that they're not going to sell stuff anymore. I don't know. I did read something about how things won't be unlocked. Like you'll have what you have unlocked, which just feels like just unlock the whole game for everybody. But it's true that Steamboat Willie stage was data mined. There was definitely a Steamboat stage. I thought it was over the garden wall, but then were there two and one Steamboat Willie? I don't know. I do remember. I do know that there was a Steamboat stage. I think it was over the garden wall was what everybody figured out was what it actually was. I think, unless there's two. I'm trying to remember. That was a while ago. Yeah, so honestly, yeah. Once the game goes offline, they just give players everything. Yeah, I'd say that. So there were two Steamboat stages. Okay, then yeah, one was probably Steamboat Willie. Then I guess. Steamboat stage, like Timeless River in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, it was like black and white Steamboat stage. And then I believe there's another one that's over the garden wall. You can still buy stuff with Gleamium, you just can't buy Gleamium. Okay, alright, so you can spend your last bit of Gleamium. Okay, alright, well that's not really that bad at this point then. But still weird to kind of lock well, I guess they just want people to get their monies. It's weird, it's tough, because like let's say, okay, you unlock everything, right? Then you have everyone who ever bought anything being like, why the hell did I buy any of this stuff? But then, I don't know, it's tough. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. I do feel like at the end they should at least unlock all characters. Like, everyone should just have all characters offline. If that's not already a thing. I never play offline, so. How would I have made MultiVersus better and do to make it last longer? A lot of things. I mean, I would have probably not launched in beta. They launched way too early. You definitely have to have this planned out when you launch. That is so key to a free-to-play game. You have to be like a year ahead of everything. You have to have kind of a year's worth of content. or at least like half a year's worth of content done, so that you're working on 2 or 3 seasons from now. You can't be working on the current season or 1 season ahead. You're not going to get things done in time. That absolutely had to happen from the start. And you have to be, I think, laser focused on and because of that, you have to be laser focused on what you're going to do, what you're going to come out with. So I would have done that different. I probably would have made some different character choices. I definitely would have kept the way it played in beta. I would not have changed the way the game plays. I know they had, what did they redo the whole Unreal 5? Like they built the game back from scratch in Unreal 5, but it doesn't play the same. I definitely would have kept it the way it played in beta. I probably wouldn't have ever done the focus on 2v2. It's a neat idea, but the real problem is it clashes with it being free to play and what I was talking about with planning it out. Because what it seemed like they were trying to do at the start was we have to have Shaggy and Velma. We have to have Finn and Jake. We have to have Steven and Garnet. It means every time you add an IP, you have to add 2. So you're cutting down the amount of IPs you're able to make in the game basically by half. Whereas if you had a game where it's like, we'll do Finn, we're not going to do Jake yet. We're going to do Shaggy, we're not going to do any other Scooby characters. And then suddenly you can have a lot more WB characters. And especially when you're doing a Warner Brothers fighting game, you're doing I almost wish this was a Cartoon Network fighting game instead of a Warner Brothers fighting game, because the pool is almost too big at this point. I said this the whole time with MultiVersus. It's tough to get people excited about your game when you're like, oh, I'm a huge fan of some random I'm a huge Goonies fan. I love the Goonies. That's a WB thing. And then you see this game come out and it's like, well, when the hell are they ever going to get to the thing that I like? Probably never. And you walk away from it. So I feel like you need to be more focused on getting as many different WB IPs in as possible. Even if it was a Cartoon Network game, that's a huge pool of characters. So just to have a good like breadth of depth of all the WB stuff, you need a lot of IPs here. So you're doing 2 from a lot of things. You're cutting down majorly on how many you can get. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff that I would I would have changed about this, but though that's what I those are probably the main thing that I would have changed. Oh, and I wouldn't have the gameplay style. Like I said, I probably kept it from beta. Maybe wouldn't have differentiated so much from Super Smash Brothers either. I never really see too much of a reason to do that. A lot of platform fighters break away, but it's like, you can make a rip-off Street Fighter. You don't have to make it play different than Street Fighter. You just make it different. Don't make it play that much different. Like, I feel the same way with platform fighters. You don't have to make it play that much different. There's a tried and true thing that people like. If it was just plays pretty much exactly like Smash and is Warner Brothers characters, you have a lot of people. You do not have to make a new game. You do not have to, come up with how this works. You just have to do that. And the other thing I absolutely would have done, probably the number one thing I think that hurt the game, and I said this earlier and I'll explain it again, is I would have made all the characters free to play. Like, it's a free to play game. The roster is unlocked. You do not buy characters. You buy skins. You buy icons. You buy emotes. You buy, stuff like that. You buy cosmetic stuff, because otherwise people aren't going to play the game. They get in the game. I have Shaggy unlocked. I have Wonder Woman unlocked. That's it. I play a ton and I can unlock like one more character and then unlock. I do the math and unlocking a few more. It's like crazy. It's like, I'm not playing this game. I'm out. It's done. You need to be able to try. Also, with a fighting game, you have to be able to try out characters. You have to be able to try out. You cannot just go, that character looks like they're fun to play, and then you buy them and you go, I didn't like it. I'm not having fun with the game. I'm done. Like, you cannot do that. And I talked about before, there's this marketing technique. It's known as the foot in the door technique, which is you have to get your foot in the door to sell someone something. It comes from like old 50s door-to-door salesman. Like, you're a vacuum cleaner salesman. Picture an old Looney Tunes cartoon with the vacuum cleaner salesman. I believe there's a lot of those. It kind of fits WB here. Anyway, you knock on the door, and the 50s housewife opens the door. The salesman sticks his foot in the door, and he says, ma'am, can I come in? And then he comes in. He goes, look at this. This is how the vacuum works, blah, blah, blah. And because he's in the house, now in the customer's mind, it goes, well, maybe I did want to buy a vacuum because I let him come in, and I'm watching this presentation. I must have, to some extent, wanted to buy something here. If the person is still outside your house, they open the door, they go, I want to sell you this. You go, no, I'm not interested, and you shut the door. these free-to-play games work on foot in the door technique. I'm playing MultiVersus. Now I see all these skins for sale. Well, I must have wanted to buy some of these skins because I'm playing the game. Like, I'm in the game, so I must have wanted to spend some money on this game. You have to do foot in the door technique. And the way to do that is let people play your game. You have to let people play your game. And that's, again, that might have been a WB thing. I don't know. So I can't blame Player First Games too hard on that one. Feels like it's probably a WB thing. But Player First Games, you need to explain that to WB. You need to show, here are successful free-to-play games. This is how it works. We cannot, like, yeah, it looks good on paper, lock the characters, because people are going to buy. Look how many characters you're going to want to buy. It's going to be this great thing. But you have to show them. This is how free-to-play games work. You have to get people playing the game. You have to get a ton of people playing the game. So, yeah. Which character would I want more for MultiVersus? Number 1 or Master Shake? Probably Master Shake. I was never huge on Codename Kid Next Door, to be perfectly honest. I don't hate it. It had its moments, for sure. But I could never really get that into it. And I think my biggest issue with it was that I never understood I never understood how the universe worked. I never understood how the Kids Next Door universe worked. Sometimes they were kids and had parents and went to school. Okay, cool. And so is this all in their head, like this fake kids versus adults thing? Other times, most of the time, it seemed like no, it's just this weird universe where kids versus adults. But then why do they still why are you still going to school when you're literally at war with adultdom? I could never make sense of Codename Kid Next Door. It never clicked with me how that universe worked. So again, it had its moments. Some episodes were funny. It had some funny things, but I was like, the world building was just fell apart for me. The world building was so shaky. It didn't make any sense to me. You can do Codename Kid Next Door where it goes in and out of a false reality that is in the kid's head where they're at war with the adults, and then in reality, this was like when in Kelvin and Hobbes, Kelvin believes he's Spaceman Spiff and he's fighting aliens, but he's actually just in school. You can do that, or you can just do no. This is just the world is just this bizarre world where kids are against adults. It seemed like most of the time it was that, but then other episodes it was it wasn't like that. It was a little bit more no, they still live in a house with their family. It's okay, but you're at war with your dad who lives a room over. It didn't make sense to me. Yeah, I'd go with Master Shake because I love Aquaman Hunger Force a lot. I have no problems with Aquaman Hunger Force. Aquaman Hunger Force I think is hilarious and well done. So Codename Kids Next Door was my childhood. I love that show so much. That's totally fine. I'm not trying to bash it too much. I'm just saying I'm explaining why it never clicked with me. I was more of a Recess fan. Recess made sense to me. Recess had that same kids versus adults thing. It even kind of had a military thing going on with it, which Codename Kid Next Door kind of obviously did too. Recess I think was based on Hogan's Heroes or MASH or something. It had that style to it. I think Big Time Hogan's Heroes. But Recess had that going on, but it made more sense to me. It was a little exaggerated, but it was more grounded, and the kids versus adults aspect of it. I don't know. It just made more sense to me. Bro did not get the Codename Kid Next Door lore. No, I didn't. I never clicked. I never quite got it. I loved Ed and Nettie. Ed and Nettie's great. Yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Codename Kids Next Door. That said, it would be cool to get a Codename Kid Next Door, Codename Kids Next Door. It's hard to say. Character in MultiVersus, and I'm not saying I'm not a fan of the show. I did like it, but as far as shows that were on Cartoon Network at that time, I like Courage more. I like Ed and Nettie more. I like most of the other shows more. I'd say Foster Home for Imaginary Friends I liked more. Codename Kids Next Door. Occasionally I was like, oh, that was a really good episode. That was funny. A good amount of the time though, I could never totally fully commit to it. Would I consider covering Marvel Rivals? I haven't played Marvel Rivals yet. I have a friend who played it, and it was good. I don't know if it's quite the game for me. I'll probably just wait until Smash returns, or possibly the new Mario Kart. I could speculate characters for that. Or maybe just if some other game catches my attention. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I haven't really posted stuff in a while, so I'm sure people are just post anything, anything you want. The only game, but it's so different from what I know most of my audience likes. The only game that I really play pretty regularly now is Fallout 76, but I know that's so different from the more Nintendo, more crossover platform fighting games genre that I just don't know if people would want to watch me talk about and play it. But if some other game catches my attention, I still have, Echoes of Wisdom, which I started a playthrough of. That playthrough is still, like, I never did any more. I said this earlier in this video, but I switched job. I got a new job, then had to switch to a different, well, not had to, but then got offered a job I'd been waiting for like for a year as temp help, and I was there and I was doing that 6 days a week, overtime work. I've now been hired by that job, no longer 6 days a week on a more set schedule, so I'm gonna try to work YouTube back into my schedule now that things have evened out, and I have a better notion of like, okay, what's my schedule looking like for the next year indefinitely. Whereas I had a very turbulent time the last, like, from like September through December, and a little bit after December, after January, because it was like holiday help that I got hired on temp work for to do overtime. That obviously goes, for that whole span. But I should have more time to do videos and stuff like that. So maybe I'll pick up that Echoes of Wisdom playthrough. It's still sitting there. It is not over. And I want to I want to play that game anyway. I want to finish it. It's on my backlog at this point because of that. And then, obviously Switch stuff, Switch 2 stuff. I'll probably start doing speculation or videos on that when we get close to that stuff. I could make a video on talking about Sakurai and Smash and that proposal that he heard in 2022, and if it's Smash or not. I think it probably is. That's just just speculation. Like I said, I'm not anything I hear anymore. I'm not talking about publicly for games. I'm only talking MultiVersus stuff because the game's dead. So yeah, I'll probably start doing more YouTube stuff if I can here soon. I hate promising things because I never know what's going to happen. But the last few months were very turbulent. Is now calmed down now. Was it more consistent streaming? Yeah, exactly. Like Echoes of Wisdom. That'd be very easy for me to do. A couple nights here and finish that, and maybe move on to another game and stream that. Streaming is definitely easier than making. Like making videos it's work. It's a lot of time. To do it. I will definitely, like, if Smash comes back, I'll definitely cover that. If some other game seems worth covering, I can do that. Another thing, this is very out there, and I don't want to change the channel too much, but I may make one video on this just because right now it's just relevant right now, and I know people are fans of this in chat, so we're talking about Cartoon Network stuff. Adventure Time has a card game called Card Wars. It's in the show. It's like an in-universe card game. It had a mobile game a long time ago, and it had a physical card game a long time ago. They were played a little different, but they shared the same artwork and stuff like that. I'm a huge fan. I have a giant Card Wars collection, and like a year ago, they did a Kickstarter to bring back all the Card Wars, all the original print of the physical card game Card Wars stuff. They did a Kickstarter for that. It did over like $1 million. I bought it to get other copies of all the stuff that I had before, so I have like a total complete set. And right now, for the next month, they're doing a Kickstarter for new. They're now doing new sets, so they're bringing it back. I think it's going to go to retail as well, but they're doing a Kickstarter right now. You can also buy all the old cards are on this Kickstarter again, so it's totally re-released. I really like it as a card game. It's kind of like a simplified version of like Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, but still has some good depth to it. I was gonna maybe make like a single video just saying like, hey, the Kickstarter is happening right now, if people want to fund it, and maybe just show off my collection and just how the game plays briefly, see if people are interested in that. I know it's very different than like video game content, but there's some overlap with the Adventure Time stuff that was in like MultiVersus and stuff. And I just thought maybe I'd do that now because the Kickstarter is live right now, and just to bring attention to it because I want it to do as good as it can and as many stretch goals and stuff. And I'm just a fan of that. I have a big Magic collection too. I have a decent Pokemon card collection. I'm also a card game fan, but I wouldn't want to change the channel into that or anything. But that was just something that's on my mind. But yeah, I'll figure out some other stuff to cover. There's always Nintendo stuff coming out, especially once we get some Switch 2 games. If there's like a new 3D Mario, if Smash comes back, obviously we know Mario Kart's happening. There's a lot of stuff to speculate about and make videos about and stuff. Oh, thoughts on a potential Switch 1 February Direct? Yeah, I can make a video on that too. It's possible. I'm like up in the air about if that's going to happen or not. If it did, I feel like it might be one of those like a partner Direct or something. Like Nintendo might be done. We'll probably get the Pokemon Presents, right? Don't we usually get Pokemon Day. I think it's in late February is Pokemon Day, if I'm right. I think it is, anyway. Around this time of year is Pokemon Day. We'll probably see Legends ZA, which I'm super excited about because I loved Legends Arceus. So that was the last. I've been on a slow decline for Pokemon since like Sun and Moon. Like I just really fell off. But then Legends Arceus, I was super into that. I thought that was great. So I just the catching mechanics of it. I made a video on like what I would change about it, but so much about that game I loved. I thought that was modern Pokemon going in the right direction. So yeah. Brandon said, I loved your videos on Legends Arceus. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I had a few. I think I did. My video mostly was like a kind of a complaint about it. But it was only because I loved the game so much that I was like, and I saw a lot of people praising it, that I just wanted to go over things I would have changed, because it was a very good game, but it could have been ironed out a bit more. And I definitely would have had more, obviously, battling and like trading. I would have made it just a mainline Pokemon game, basically. Just some mainline Pokemon stuff was missing from it. But the actual gameplay loop of catching Pokemon, going out in the wild and catching Pokemon and getting attacked by Pokemon in the wild, all that stuff I felt like exactly how you should do it. Like if you put in the Pokemon anime and you watch Ash get attacked by all those Spearows in the first episode, and he goes out into the wild and he's just catching stuff and he's going through the woods doing stuff, and occasionally you go back to a town and stuff, like if that idea didn't exist in like 1995 or whatever, and it instead, that idea first came out in 2020 whatever, you make a legendary. The gameplay loop is the way Legend Arceus did it. That is how you do it. You aim and throw the ball. The creatures attack you. You fight right there. Like that is how you do that concept, the Pokemon concept. And for so long we've been stuck on how it played on the Game Boy. But we need to kind of shake that off, and I hope that's what we're going forward with Legends Z3. Thoughts on the new Mario Kart? Looks cool. Definitely happy to get a new Mario Kart because we've been on Mario Kart 8 for a long, long time. And the only real big, there was like 3, I guess, major things on there. Redesigned Donkey Kong. I have no huge opinion on that. It leans a little bit towards that whole theory that Miyamoto didn't like Rare doing stuff to Donkey Kong or whatever. I don't know. He's slowly been turning back into more classic looking Donkey Kong. Like in the Mario movie, he's a little more classic looking Donkey Kong. Mario Kart, big time that. The other thing was there's like a pit stop and there was some glowing item. It looked like a bag maybe with a smiley face on it. No idea what that could be for. Maybe it's like the Wonder, Mario Wonder, or maybe it transforms the whole stage. Maybe it's a pit stop. I've heard some theories, but no idea. And then the other big thing is that it's 24 racers at a time. That is huge. And what I'm super excited for that is that if it's 24 racers at a time, they may have to pull a lot of... maybe they won't, but like to make sure you're not seeing the same 24 racers all the time, that to me kind of leans towards they might have a really big roster of characters. Maybe, if you have 24 characters, you might have to have at least like 50 characters to be able to have 2 completely different sets of racers racing on it. Maybe it could even go higher than that. And if there's... Not that Mario Kart's about the characters in it or anything, but I've always loved the Mario universe. Obviously, I'm a huge Geno fan. I'd love to see Geno in more stuff. But there's other Mario characters, too, that get pushed aside. I'd love to see Wart return. I'd love to see... Mario Kart 8, it took forever to just get, like, Magic Koopa, like Kamek in the game. And all these Mario spin-offs they'll throw us, like, a couple Mario enemies or a few rare characters. But, like, Egad's another... character. Toadsworth coming back would be great. So I'd love to see this game be like, it's Mario Kart. Like, how much animation do you have to do for these characters? The work to add probably like 10 characters is probably less than a single track. I don't know. I'm just pulling that out of thin air, but just character just barely has to animate. Really, they react to stuff. Do this. They throw some stuff. That's it. So. Just give us a ton of Mario characters. Like, if there's one place that the vast cast of the Mario universe can just comfortably exist, Mario Kart. I think Crash Bandicoot racing game had, like, every single Crash Bandicoot thing you could think of as... I didn't even have, like, the crates as racers. Like, it was, like, everything you think of. Like, Mario Kart, just do the same thing. And with 24 racers at a time, that leans in the direction of maybe that'll be the big pull of this game. Some people talked about, like, Smash Kart and having guest fighters. And I'm cool with guest fighters. Like, I'm not against guest fighters. But personally, I'd rather just make a Mario Kart game with as many Mario characters as possible. That'd be sweet. Yeah. Finally add RPG characters. That would be my hope. Not just Mario RPG too. Like I love Geno and Mallow, but you could go, Fawful and Paper Mario companions, and there's so many things. I had a few from everything. I had some stuff from WarioWare, some stuff from Wario Land. Add characters from like I said, like Tatanga from Mario Land. There's just a ton. There's a ton of Mario characters, and there's not really any good reason not to just be like, they're all just gonna live in Mario Kart. We can just animate all of them. One of the things I love about Smash, and it's been talked about before, is that like games like Earthbound, I think Sakurai's even said this, games like Earthbound that don't have a 3D rendered game, we saw Magicant, and we see Ness and Lucas, and we see Paula and Pooh and Jeff are they're in the game in 3D render, and you get to see that in Smash, and that's just so cool. And a lot of things with Mario, I mean, I'm super happy. I have it on my phone, but there's Geno. I'm super happy Mario RPG got a remake, so I got to see Geno in like kind of a modern day look. But that's one of the big reasons to put certain things in Smash, is just to update it and see it in modern day. But Mario Kart's an easy way to get like War and Tatanga and these older Mario characters and stuff that just never has had a chance, or Fawful and stuff like that in 3D alongside the other Mario characters. I'd love to see that. Would be great. So it's a beautiful wallpaper. Thank you. Sometimes, were any characters from Foster's Home ever considered for MultiVersus? I don't think I ever heard anything specifically. I heard Mordecai and I heard Gumball. I'm more of a Foster's fan than Gumball on regular show. Though I like Gumball on regular show. Foster's was really good though, in my opinion. So I don't think I ever heard Mac and Blue or Mac or anything. Or if I ever did, it was among the like zillion characters they'll maybe do or something. They thought about it, or they're whatever. It's on their minds, they're aware of it. But I don't think I ever heard anything for Foster. It doesn't mean it didn't happen though. I didn't hear everything. Like there's certainly some stuff that could blindside me. I didn't hear about Lola until pretty recently, so that kind of blindsided me. So it's totally possible. They could like Blue could have been playing for season 7 or season 6 or 7 or something like that, and it's right there next. But I just didn't hear about it. Do I think Mario Kart 9 will go for RPG where land characters? I hope so. I don't know. The one thing giving me some further hope is that there's like 24 characters racing at a time, which makes me think, well, there's got to be a lot of characters here. Otherwise, you're racing the same characters all the time. Of course, for whatever bizarre reason, when they do Mario Kart, when they need more characters, they're like, well, who else can we make a baby of? Can we put Cat Peach and Pink Gold Peach? It's like, why are you doing that? But maybe they've learned their lesson, because the DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was, I thought, pretty good. I think Toadette, was it Peachette? Whatever, the Toadette transformed into Peach was the only character that I was kind of like, not that great. But we got so many. We got, I think, more characters added as DLC than expected, so I couldn't really complain. We got Diddy, Funky, Pauline, Kamek, was it Petey or King Boo? Whatever one was missing. It was great. Like it was a very good DLC lineup. They seemed to understand that the fans like having Mario characters in Mario Kart. So, yeah. And I don't even hate, like, I know some people really rag on the Koopalings. I love the Koopalings. I think they're great. Yes, they take up a big chunk of the roster, but they are classic, different Mario characters. I think they're great. I really, one of the reasons I love like Geno and I love Mario RPG was I was huge into Mario in like the mid 90s, and I was really into like, I don't know if the lore of Mario is right, but like, yeah, I remember I used to draw like I draw a map of Mario World, and then I draw like all the Mario 3 stages are like over here, and here's the Mushroom Kingdom, and here's Sarasa Land or whatever is over here, and sometimes I'd list out like here's all the different Koopas I could find in the different games and stuff. Like I was just big on, what's the Mario universe actually like? Like I was big on that, and then Mario RPG came out, and it was kind of like more focused on that. Like here's all these different towns with different toads and different creatures and stuff, and I thought that was so cool. So I've always liked the Koopalings because they're from back then and all that stuff. And I don't hate the babies. I prefer the ones that are actually from games and not just like making baby Rosalina and stuff. Like you don't have like if they make a baby Pauline, it's like why you don't need to do that. When instead you could do other characters, but I don't mind if it was like a huge Smash, like 80 characters Smash looking roster of characters to choose from, which again is way easier in Mario Kart to do anyway. Then I'm not mad at taking up spots if we can get most of the Mario characters here. Yeah, King Babam would be cool. I mean, there's stuff like that. Like every game should have King Boo, Petey Piranha, King Babam. Like why not? Like why only have them in some games? It doesn't make sense. Why shouldn't do something like Mario Movie instead of Geno and Mel? Yeah, that would be rough. Mario Movie characters take up like a whole thing or something. I could see guest characters again. I'm not that mad at guest characters. I do think it should probably be kept fairly small. Kind of like the ones we got. Maybe a couple more. Kirby, Captain Falcon, Samus, Link. Maybe like one Animal Crossing character. Splatoon character, just like that. And definitely do the thing where you highlight the character and then you can switch between a couple costumes for them. You don't need a ton, taking up a ton of room. We already do that for the different colored Yoshis and stuff. Form and Spike would be cool. K. Rool, anything Donkey Kong would be cool. Captain Toad would be fine. Toadsworth. There's just so much. There's so many Mario characters. Why not do a roster of like 80 to 100 characters? Like I just don't see why not. And it would be great to have that. Rob and Honey Queen, yeah, do everyone is here and then build onto it. Why not? Excite Bike would be cool. That would be cool. They do bikes now in Mario Kart, so that would be cool. All right, well, I don't want to go on too long talking about Mario Kart and other games when this was a stream for MultiVersus ending. It's also midnight where I am, so yeah. As opposed to, I think we'll get a February direct. I'm like 50-50 on it. I may make a video speculating about it when we get closer. I'm like 50-50. I think if we do, it probably would be pretty like a partner direct or something like that. Maybe they do a little Metroid Prime 4, but they might just save all that stuff for the Switch 2 thing in April, whatever it is. But maybe we'll get a smaller February direct. Maybe they'll do a little Metroid Prime stuff. I do think we'll get a Pokemon Presents with Z through A. I think... and yeah, like a partner indie direct I could see in February. Maybe again they show Metroid Prime 4. Maybe they do have enough Switch 1 stuff or stuff to show off some kind of direct, and then just do all out Switch 2 later on. But I'm just a little I don't know how much gas is in the tank for Switch 1. Do a full on direct. Will I make any other videos about MultiVersus? Maybe if the mood strikes me. We'll see how this next season goes. This is obviously just a stream talking about stuff. Maybe I'll do more of a condensed, 10 to half hour long, however long it takes me, minute video where I'm not streaming. I actually make a video and talk about what happened with MultiVersus, some of the pitfalls, and just a more condensed thing. I might do that. I might not. I don't know. Yeah. Like I said before, one of the reasons I haven't been posting videos is in September I got a new job, and then I got a call from a job I've been trying to get in for a while, but it was temp work over the holiday season. But it was also like overtime. It was like 6 days a week, craziness. So that's why I just had to kind of put YouTube off to the side, get all that done, because I really need financially to get like more stable job wise. But that job luckily has kept me on. I'm no longer a temp. I'm hired. So I'm there for the foreseeable future. I'm not on the crazy holiday help schedule anymore. So I can now schedule out my time better and be like, okay, I'll allocate some free time for making YouTube videos, for doing streaming, stuff like that. So hopefully I'll get back into that more regularly. So whatever happened to the rumored Fire Emblem 4 remake, Zelda Wind Waker, Twilight Princess HD ports? No idea. Those were all stuff from other people, or I think the Fire Emblem 4 thing might have been from a Datamined. No idea. But yeah, if those things do exist, if they want to focus big time on Metroid Prime 4, if maybe they have a few other things from partners that are still Switch 1, they might have enough for a February Direct. It's possible. But it'd be pretty slim, I imagine. I think most stuff is probably Switch 2. Even partner stuff, I feel like a lot of other game companies don't want to put stuff on Switch 1. They want to put it on Switch 2, So, yeah. I'm happy for you, bro. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm set now to do a better better scheduling for YouTube. And that's always how it goes. I've had, I've had a crazy job before in the past, several years ago, and I had this was during Smash speculation, not like the beginning of Smash Ultimate, but during like the DLC speculation. There was like 6 months where I was working somewhere, juggling the YouTube channel, and it was, making Smash speculation videos. So I could definitely juggle a job in YouTube, a tough job at YouTube. But the last few months were a particularly time-intensive job, and it was all new stuff, and I really wanted to. And since it was temp work, I was trying to make a good impression. I was trying to just be very much so on that. But now much more set, so should be better. But yeah, okay. MultiVersus, very unfortunate. See it end and everything. It's a bummer. I think lots of different reasons for it. Yeah, I may do a video talking about it again, just a focus video where I'm just talking about it and not streaming. I might not, and I might do something else if more characters come out for the game further into this season or something. Maybe I'll be like, hey, they're still doing something. I don't know. I may do another video when the game actually shuts down. I'll probably definitely do something then, whether it's a stream or another video or something. Maybe when the new season comes out and it's Aquaman and Lola, maybe I'll do something then too. So I'll probably do a little bit more MultiVersus content going forward, but it's a bummer. Didn't I used to work in Blockbuster? I used to work at Hollywood Video / Game Crazy. I did that for a little while. Then I worked at a retro game store for like 5 years, and I did a little bit of holiday help at a GameStop one holiday season. So those are all my gaming stuff. But yeah, my first job was actually at a coffee shop, but my first long-term, I was there for like 5 years job, was at a Hollywood Video until it shut down, which was cool. All right. Okay. So yeah, hopefully we get some more characters than just Aquaman and Lola. Hopefully we get more stuff before the game ends. I just like to see, as much as they can put out for us, but real unfortunate it's ending. A lot of potential lost. Yeah, it's a bummer. Sad to see it go. On a brighter note, like I said, hopefully this channel will get more content coming soon, and I'll try to be more on top of things now that my life outside of YouTube is more stabilized. All right, everybody say thanks for the stream. You're welcome, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, yeah, so good night, everybody. Later.